James H. Reeve phone in.
Okay, we'll busk it then. Good evening, boys and girls. Sunday evening. Mercifully, the heat wave's over. I'm just about sick of it, actually. I was starting to get a bit bad-tempered. And we are flung together for our 3 hours together on a Sunday evening. 0161 288 0103 is the magical means of putting your views to a worldwide audience. Mostly in the northwest, to be fair, but, you know, one or two outposts of empire. And all you've got to do, pick up the phone and speak to me and share your views with a few 100,000 Hillmans all over the show. Tonight, you can put your questions to somebody who is having an effect on your life, even if you don't know it, actually. He'll be here in a minute. I'll explain who he is. But topics for debate a little later. The celebrated Joseph Rowntree Foundation, which over the centuries, more than 100 years now, has been looking into the condition of the poor, says that people who fiddle the social in 2006 do so to pay for food and heat, not because they fancy a bit of a holiday or having their nails done or, you know, session on a sunbed or something like that. Those are their findings. Well, that's rubbish, isn't it? Because I expect you know, as I do, people who are claiming and working and spending it on fags and cosmetics, mostly. 0161 288 0103. No, says the foundation. It's because these people can't keep body and soul together without fiddling the social. 0161 288 0103. You've just heard in the news, the Home Secretary has announced that hostels containing paedophiles are going to be closed. Paedophiles are going to be moved away from areas where there are schools. It's a bit difficult because there are schools pretty much everywhere, really, aren't there? And they're going to look into the possibility. They are studying Megan's Law, which is something introduced in the United States, which gives you the right to know the whereabouts of convicted paedophiles in your neighbourhood. An expert, and I know you shudder at the very use of the word, but an expert says it's a complete waste of time. 0161 288 0103. And what about this? We've been celebrating the World Cup, whatever our level of interest in it. Even if you're a girl, I believe you can be interested in it, I think. I don't know. Well, we're discussing it. We're having a meeting about that later on in the week. But it is said to be the way of... It is war by other means, but it's a peaceful way of celebrating friendly international rivalry. Not if you're a German and you've got a German flag up in your living room window because somebody puts a brick through it. And this was, where do you think this was? Well, this was in Bramhall. 0161 288 0103. Any social significance to that, or is it just a pillock? 0161 288 0103. In fact, you might be that pillock, in which case it would be delightful to hear from you. Also, I don't know whether you think this is a good idea, but in Israel today, they've come up with a way of reducing mass stress and tension brought about by admittedly difficult living conditions in Israel, but a way of people to get rid of their pent-up emotions. And this is a brilliant idea, actually. A mass pillow fight. A mass public pillow fight. Excellent. That, actually, is something that we might introduce as a theme this evening. If you can think of other peaceful, non-harmful ways of getting rid of tension and perhaps settling disputes between nations other than taking up arms. 0161 288 0103. At your leisure. What else have we had in the post? Some more rubber bands and also a lovely present, which is... luckily, it makes the tiniest of sounds, so I might be able to demonstrate it for you, but I will also paint pictures with words, and this could actually, not only will it help the environment, but it could save you money. There's certainly one person in the Greater Manchester area whom it could have saved 50 quid. I'll explain later. I'm very grateful to a Hillman for sending me that. The point, though, is that we engage in our customary cut and thrust of argument about serious topical social matters on 0161 288 0103. For the foreseeable future, though... Oh, there we are. Thank you. He's very nice, isn't he? It reminds me of the end of a record, that, where a door slams. I can't remember what it is. Anyway, if you look around Manchester, particularly in the last 10 years, and we were talking about this on Thursday night, looking back to the IRA bomb of 1996, you'll know that since then there's been a great deal of building, of redevelopment, of redesign of the city centre. And having done a bit of research, I'm rather startled to learn that a sizable proportion of it, if not all of it, is the work of a bloke who's sitting opposite me now. Manchester is his plaything, right? Just give him Google Earth and a set square, and off he goes. He's designed most of the buildings that you see on a daily basis, and may think, that's nice, or, what the hell's that? The choice is, of course, yours. His name's Ian Simpson. He's from, well, Haywood, which is virtually Manchester, but he's spent his formative years in the city centre, and when we look round at such things as the Beetham Tower, which recently topped out, see what I mean? I have done my research, haven't I? And Urbis and number 1 Deansgate, those are his, and there's a lot more to come, I believe. He's going to be doing a lot more. So I'll be talking to him. If you want to talk to him, 0161 288 0103. He's not said anything yet because I've not given him a tangible cue. But you know, what do you think of an architect as having like a grey suit and perhaps those dark horn-rimmed glasses, like somebody out of Bewitched? Yeah, yeah, possibly a bow tie as well. Absolutely. But no, guess what? He's a black shirt. Is it black denim pants? Dark blue shirt. Oh yeah, and black denim jeans. But you know, it's just another uniform, isn't it? Anyway, it's Ian Simpson. We'll be talking to him in a second. Have a listen to what he's got to say. If you live or use the centre of Manchester, then 0161 288 0103. We'll see what he's got to say for himself. It's 10:10. James H. Reeve on Key 103, and we'll be talking about the city in which, well, the majority, unless you're listening in Newfoundland, in which the majority of us live. In a minute.
The Vodafone Live Hour.
We've had a ton of live bands in recently. This week we have live tracks from Kanye West, the Zootons, Keisha White, and sadly Bon Jovi didn't get to be the first band to play at the new Wembley Stadium, but we'll find out if they rocked out at Milton Keynes instead. As ever, we have a truly rock and roll music miss, a fantasy festival, and much more besides too. The music's excellent, and I'll see you Monday night at 9.
The Vodafone Live Hour. Music's better when it's live. Key 103.
Can I help you, sir?
Yes, I'd like to vote on the future of this bank.
Ah, right, I'll just get a, ballot paper. There you go.
I'm sorry, you've just written this.
So?
Well, it's to vote on your lunch.
Yes, pork pie or Scotch egg?
I don't know.
All right, should I grow a moustache or a goatee?
I don't want to vote on that.
Well, what then?
Something of consequence about the bank, preferably.
Ah, I see, right. The new carpet, red or mauve?
This is ridiculous.
You're the one who wanted to vote. Can't handle being on the spot, eh? Imagine if I gave you something important to vote on.
Unlike some places, at Nationwide we let customers, not shareholders, have a say in how we run our business. If you're an eligible Nationwide member, you'll receive a voting form complete with an easy quick vote option to make things simple. Just return it in the prepaid envelope or pop it in the ballot box at any Nationwide. And for each vote, Nationwide will donate money to disability sport events. Up to £100,000 in all.
Look, I just want my voice to be heard, okay?
Oh, right, well, try cupping your hands round your mouth like this. Hello? Hello?
Nationwide. Proud to be different.
He'd come in my room and touch me. He said it was normal and kept buying me presents. I was confused because I thought it must happen to everyone. It went on for ages until I told someone. I felt better just being able to talk about it. If it's happened to you, when you're ready, visit the NSPCC website don'thideit.com or call Childline on 0800 1111. Remember, if you've been sexually abused, you don't have to hide it anymore.
Okay, give me the results.
Tractor production, down. Beetroot yield, down. Cabbage...
Enough! Why are they so lazy?
We suspect Monarch's revolutionary bargain hunter service, sir.
Ah, yes, where you can find all their cheapest fares. Not that I would use such a decadent service.
Oh, of course not, sir. Nor enjoy the extras like allocated seating and free newspapers.
What? The salt mines need more people, you know.
Bargain hunt your breaks at flymonarch.com.
The James H. Reeve phone in on Key 103. Call now on 0161 288 0103.
Right you are. Let's make a start then. Welcome to Ian Simpson of Ian Simpson Architects, from Heywood originally.
Yep.
And let's do a bit of... how did you start being an architect?
Well, when I was 12, I decided I wanted to be an architect, and I was good at art and woodwork at the time, which didn't really qualify me to be an architect. But
would have been Elizabethan times.
So I just had to buckle down and try and get a few other bits and pieces of exams, and which I managed to do. And once I got into college, which was at Liverpool Poly, I was able to enjoy myself really and just try and be creative, which is what I've done ever since, I hope. I like to think so.
And how do you, I mean, presumably you got your qualifications, and then what did you do? You went and got a job with an architect?
Well, I went to work with Lord Foster, as he is now, but he was just Norman Foster at the time, an ex-Mancunian. There were 17 people in the office. I think there's about 800 working in there now. But that was at the late 70s, early 80s. And I really went to London to learn how to build buildings. I'd spent a lot of time designing buildings, but I had no experience of building buildings. So I worked on, once you leave college, because you can't build buildings at college. So it was almost like a postgraduate degree at a firm of architects, really.
Did you just explain that to me? When you say designing and building, you could design a building, and then it's up to somebody else to work out whether it's possible, and
but you never have any
loads and all that sort of thing.
But you never have any real experience of seeing your designs translated to a building. So to actually do a drawing that is then made, I mean, the first thing I remember seeing was designing a fire escape staircase and doing a drawing for it, and then one day I turned up on site and there's a piece of metalwork on the floor, and it made me really realise that somebody had taken the drawing that I'd used as an instruction to make this piece of metalwork, and that translation, that understanding of what you're drawing is an instruction for a whole group of other people to do things, then that's quite a responsibility, really. I mean, when you think of Urbis, there were 2,000 people worked on that building, and everybody taking ownership of something that just came out of a pencil, and that's quite an exciting part of being an architect, I think.
You might think this is a little prosaic to ask you, but when I'm in one of these buildings and I'm standing there, I sometimes think there's probably 30,000 tons of concrete and steel above my head. I hope everybody got the sums right.
Yeah. Well,
is that an important consideration?
It is. I mean, you have to work with the very best engineers, and sometimes they don't get it right, but in the main they do, and particularly for the sorts of buildings that we are involved in designing. Even the Hilton Tower, which is the tallest residential building in Western Europe, it still moves. That building still moves by about 300 millimetres at the very top.
What's that in...
a foot.
Oh, right, yeah. Oh, now that sounds... A foot sounds a lot.
The thing is...
300 mil sounds... Because they're such tiny things, it doesn't matter.
Is it? Yeah. But it actually moves about a foot. But the thing is, you won't perceive it. You won't feel that movement. It's only if it moves quickly as a jolt, that's when you've got a problem. But if it moves very slowly over a period of time, under very heavy winds, and that might only happen once every 20 or 100 years even, then you won't feel that level of movement unless you have a chandelier. The key thing is about living at the top of buildings is not to have chandeliers, because obviously they pick up the pendulum movement. So whilst you don't feel you're moving, you can see a chandelier swinging on the ceiling.
Or a cathedral.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. No Catholics above the 14th floor. And it's just a rule you might like to introduce. I just thought of that now. Okay, so you're starting to realise that these things that you draw actually become things.
Yeah.
When do you start the design bit as an expression of your ideas and creativity?
Well, I guess 20 years ago I came back to Manchester. No idea why, particularly because I was based in London at the time. But I just felt that the city was the right scale for me, really, in terms of actually as individuals, you have a real opportunity of making a difference, I think, in a city this scale. In London, you don't have any chance, really. It's a global city like that. It's just too big to actually have any impact into it. So I set up the practice with my partner, Rachel Huff, and we just started off doing very, very small bits and pieces of work. We had no work when we started. I started teaching at Manchester University. And it took 10 years before we made any money. And it's just been one project after another, very, very slow process. And that's why most architects are still thought of young when they're in their mid-50s.
Oh, really?
Absolutely, yes.
All right.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, you talk about making a difference there. Now, that's isn't that a bit conceited? That
it's not conceited. No, I think with a city like Manchester, I think it's really important that the people. London's full of Mancunians, who are all doing fantastically well down there for London. I felt really that it was really quite important to see. I'd have no idea whether I'd get any work, and there's a lot of luck involved in that as well. But I felt that I wanted to try and leave my home city better than when I found it in some way, and that could have just been a refurbishment of a small shop. It could have been anything, and I think it doesn't matter about scale, it's just about intent. Actually, people having an ambition to just do a little bit better, whatever that is, and that whether it's music or whether it's graphic design or whether it's fashion or, what you're doing, it's a whole variety of things, all about just trying to raise the profile of the place. We can all bugger off back down to London and enjoy ourselves down there, but actually I think the real challenge is in a city like Manchester or Leeds or Newcastle, those post-industrial cities that are trying to find a future for themselves.
So that's there is still, though, an element of a bit of narcissism involved, isn't there? Surely there must be. There's a difference between refurbishing a bar, which a couple of hundred people will see on a Friday and Saturday night, and you've got how many under your belt now? Perhaps 4 of the most significant buildings in the city centre, and they're all about you.
Well, actually, it's quite interesting that, because, as I said, the first 10 years were spent doing little bits and pieces of bars and Atlas Bar and the Green Room Theatre. We did Merchant's Warehouse that you can look out on the window here. Working with existing buildings, the Manchester Museum, the Museum of Science and Industry as well, we were working, doing galleries and things. It just so happens that we've become involved in some larger scale projects which have come at a time, I guess, where the sort of changing the perception of the city has been very important in terms of that political agenda, but all about regeneration, and buildings play an important part in that.
I still get the feeling, though, that it's is narcissism too strong a word? There must be a bit of that, so that people look at that and think, well, that's one of mine. That.
Well, I guess there are certain series of themes that I'm interested in architecturally, in terms of light and space and glass and form. Not that I want to go on about that, but yes, those buildings do have an impact on the city. But unless you are passionate about them and are passionate about your architecture and confident in what you're doing, you'll never do anything, because generally during the process of building a building, which is one of the most horrific processes you could go through, because it's very, very hard work getting anything of quality built. You've got the quantity surveyors and the project managers and all those guys actually not at all interested in what the thing looks like or the quality of it. All they're interested in is the cost and the programme. And you, as the individual sitting at the end of the table, you've got to fight for those other things that are to do with quality and design, and the fact that it's going to be there 60 or 100 years, and that it matters to that city. So you've got to be have a certain degree of confidence or arrogance or whatever you want to refer to it as, to actually drive those things through. And it can be a really tortuous battle, because most people don't see it in that way. It's all about money and time.
People won't be shedding many tears because you've got the top flat on the Beetham Tower, haven't you? Which must be.
I have, but again, that's that comes back to the engineering question, doesn't it?
Or do you just think, well, I've built it so high, I can stick another bit on the top, and that's my commission.
Well, it wasn't quite like that. I had to buy it, unfortunately. I wasn't given it. But I live at number 1 Deansgate now anyway, so I live in buildings that we've designed. And it was an opportunity to decide at a very, very early stage that that's where I wanted to be, and make my real home. And it's I'm fortunate that I'm in a position that I've been able to create that, and I'm working on that now. So that's
I was going to say, don't you miss having a garden and that? But you've got one, haven't you?
I've got quite a large garden up there.
How many feet up in the air is it?
It's at nearly 550 feet high.
With olive trees in it, I understand.
Yeah, there's about 24 olive trees and 2 oak trees.
24?
Well, it's got to have a certain number to create an olive grove, haven't you?
Oh, yeah, I didn't realise we were speaking in groves, yeah.
It's a grove, yeah.
Right, have you got a gardener?
I will have. I'm no good at it.
Getting back to the effect of your designs, though, that's... presumably, you grew up feeling your Mancunianness based on the city that you grew up in. And we've been talking quite a bit the last couple of weeks about the... I'm sure you've seen this as part of your research, the film Hell is a City, which was filmed in Manchester in the 60s.
Yeah.
What a dump.
Yeah.
What an absolute... It made Coronation Street look like Port Merion, right?
Yeah.
So, what you are building around the city, and they're very, very... You're not building housing estates out in the suburbs, you're building things that people see every day. That's going to affect their image of themselves and the city. Are you happy with that responsibility?
It is an enormous responsibility, and all I can do is put my hand on my heart and say I've tried my very best under whatever circumstances I'm working in to create something very special for the city. That obviously meets the requirements of the client, but I forget that it's actually about a legacy for the city, and it's about creating something that can, as I say, help that whole regeneration agenda that is a politically driven thing. I mean, the perception of the city is very much based not on just how many jobs we have and numbers of people, but what the place looks like, and that involves buildings as well as public spaces and so on. So if I can create buildings that help give the city a distinctive skyline and raise the spirits, which I believe it does, of many people who come into Manchester. I was just going to
ask you, what are you trying to achieve?
Yeah, well, I think I think it raises the ambition, it raises the game, it sets a new benchmark for all the other developers to try and aspire to. So ultimately, we'll get a better city out of it rather than just more and more of a very dull, boring architecture that most of the cities are generally full of anyway.
You're saying that about architects of years gone by, because they designed those buildings that you've just...
Not just of years gone by.
well, all right, mate, yeah. We're now laughing at architecture that's as little as 30 years old, 40 years old. Will people be laughing at yours in 30 years' time?
Well, I hope not. But I think we've learnt a lot of lessons from the 60s, and particularly when you look at... I mean, I remember New Brown Street, and just about remember it, before the Arndale was built in Manchester. And that the creation of the Arndale and the Shambles development was a disaster for the city in terms of breaking it up and just creating an out-of-town shopping centre in the middle of town. It just sort of divorced the city completely and created
there were there were tales of people from outlying districts who came into Manchester. I remember reading this. Got off the bus at the bottom of the Arndale, shopped in the Arndale, got on the bus and went home again. That was that.
You might as well have done Dumplington in the middle of Trafford Park as it is now, in the middle of the city. So that was a real disaster, and I think you look at many of the tower blocks that we see, the point blocks, the council blocks that were built in that period, which were really an expediency just in terms of how many cheap units we can create. They had no security, there's poor quality materials, low maintenance, and they put people in them that didn't actually want to be there in the main quite often. So it's a total opposite to what we're doing now, and I think the quality of what we're doing is fantastic in terms of it'll last forever potentially as long as it's maintained, and hopefully we can try and create with our buildings something that has some elegance or beauty to it rather than just a very functional expression of a series of floor plates as those point blocks were.
But they were done for a reason. They were to provide replacement housing for the Victorian slums that were coming down. Now, people aren't being... claimants aren't being herded into your buildings, are they?
No. Well, I think when you look at a city like Manchester, it has a lot of low-cost housing. What the city centre doesn't have is high-cost housing, because if you ever make any money in the city, you go out to the wealthy suburbs. You know, you go to Bowden, South Manchester, Didsbury, or wherever, which are very beautiful places in themselves. But what tended to happen is that the city core became a ghetto for those people that couldn't actually get out.
Donut effect.
Yeah, so what we're trying to do is readdress that, to get high-value properties in the city centre, and get people with money actually coming back into the city, and hopefully that will spill out into terms of having larger apartments and more family housing in those areas, such as Ancoats, which you would never have dreamt of living in years ago, but it's actually only literally 10 minutes walk from Kendall's.
Okay, we'll crash on in a minute. Yeah. Obviously, we'll talk about what's happened since 1996, because that presumably has been the most significant date in your career, I take it. Also, we'll be talking to Glenn Barkworth, who's the manager of the Arndale Centre as it is now. And you can certainly talk to Ian Simpson of Ian Simpson and Partners, architect responsible for the most significant buildings in Manchester City Centre and other city centres, and more in the pipeline as well. 0161 288 0103. Whether you think he's a creative genius or another, he knows, he's heard all this before. Another bloke building himself an ivory tower while the rest of us have to grovel around in the drizzle and filth. 0161 288 0103. It's James H. Reeve on Key 103, and it's 10:30.
Key 103's £25,000 triple play.
This week we've given away £1,000. We've given away £5,000.
The first one, Sugar Babes, Push a Button, and the second one, Madonna, Like a Prayer.
Martin Robinson from Oldham, you are caller number...
Come on.
25.
Yes! Get him!
Martin!
But we still haven't given away the big one. Key 103's £25,000 triple play. Could be any minute now. Better keep listening. Key 103.
He's heading home again!
Football. I'm tired of football. And footballers. I wouldn't mind their money, though.
Don't dream about the lifestyle of a footballer's wife. Win it with Boots and Coca-Cola. 2 nights in a 5-star London hotel, tons of pampering, shopping at Tiffany's and Harvey Nichols, plus dinner at 2 swanky restaurants. Drop into Boots before the 5th of July for how to enter, plus our special deal of any 2 500ml bottles of Coke or Diet Coke for £1.30. No purchase necessary. Conditions apply. Boots and Coca-Cola.
It's the perfect match!
Oops, there goes the bookshelf.
Splendid, dear.
Don't miss the IKEA sale with over 2 million items half price across all stores. Now on.
Agent Jenkins here. I have infiltrated a school football match, disguised as a goalpost. Mission, tell pupils that with EMA, they could earn up to £500 in bonuses if they continue in learning after 16. We'll now make contact with the goalkeeper.
If you...
Oh, off the post!
I'm hit. Man down. Medic.
To apply now, visit direct.gov.uk/EMA. EMA. Be in the know. Households with annual income up to £30,000 eligible.
I've been seduced before. Oh, yes. By estate agents who promise a des res but show you a shoebox. By aftershave that guarantees women will fall at your feet. In fact, they just pass out from the fumes. By easy-to-assemble flat-pack furniture. By a washing powder that would keep my pants whiter than white, yet they're still beiger than beige. And by the tantalising aroma of many a kebab shop.
Some things aren't what they're cracked up to be. When surveyed, the majority of people who left BT didn't make the savings they thought they would. Turns out the grass isn't greener after all. BT, bringing it all together. Claim based on an independent survey of 156 customers who'd left BT. Survey conducted between January and March 06.
Can I help you, sir?
Yes, I'd like to vote on the future of this bank.
Ah, right. I'll just get a, ballot paper. There you go.
I'm sorry, you've just written this.
So?
Well, it's to vote on your lunch.
Yes, pork pie or Scotch egg.
I don't know.
All right. Should I grow a moustache or a goatee?
I don't want to vote on that.
Well, what then?
Something of consequence about the bank, preferably.
Ah, I see. Right. The new carpet, red or mauve?
This is ridiculous.
You're the one who wanted to vote. Can't handle being on the spot, eh? Imagine if I gave you something important to vote on.
Unlike some places, at Nationwide we let customers, not shareholders, have a say in how we run our business. If you're an eligible Nationwide member, you'll receive a voting form complete with an easy quick vote option to make things simple. Just return it in the prepaid envelope or pop it in the ballot box at any Nationwide. And for each vote, Nationwide will donate money to disability sport events. up to £100,000 in all.
Look, I just want my voice to be heard, OK?
Oh, right, well, try cupping your hands round your mouth like this. Hello? Hello?
Nationwide, proud to be different.
When Mum was out, he'd give me beer and show me videos, then do stuff to me. He said there'd be big trouble if I told anybody. I was dead scared to tell anyone, but one day I plucked up the courage. It was tough, but it's worse if you don't tell someone. If it's happened to you, when you're ready, visit the NSPCC website, don'thideit.com, or call Childline on 0800 1111. Remember, if you've been sexually abused, you don't have to hide it anymore.
The James H. Reeve phone in on Key 103. Call now on 0161 288 0103.
We've got Ian Simpson, architect, in the studio. If you don't know who he is, then, if you require a monument, look around you. Who said that? See what I mean? Got him tied in knots. Christopher Wren.
Was it?
Yeah. It's in St Paul's, I think. If you require
before my time,
circumspicere. Yeah, but he was the Ian Simpson of his day, I'm told.
He was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. He's designed the Beetham Tower, Urbis, number 1 Deansgate. What else have you got?
Transport interchange.
Transport what in Piccadilly?
No, the one on Shoot Hill.
On Shoot Hill, right? Yeah.
The new one, the glass one, as it happens.
Yeah.
Merchant's Warehouse, the Green Room, Atlas Bowers was.
So really, he's left his mark on the city of Manchester. Just a quick word now about, as I say, about the bomb 1996. Was that, how can I put this? Is it fair to say that it's an ill wind that blows nobody any good?
Well, I mean, obviously 10 years on, and there's been a lot of talk about it, and I think it did speed up the whole of the regeneration of the city. I think things were happening, but it certainly happened more quickly thereafter. And we happened to get involved in quite a number of the projects that spun out of that, I guess.
And did you think, right, this is start from scratch, this? Mend it with a new one?
Yeah. I mean, we won the competition to master plan the city after the bomb with a company called Edor, and I had one idea, really, which was to create a new street, the extension of St Anne's Square, straight through and linking into the old medieval quarter of the city, the cathedral, corn exchange and so on. That became New Cathedral Street. We had to move the Sinclair and the Wellington Inn because they were directly on the line of St Anne's Square. Having said that, they'd already been moved in the 70s anyway as part of the development. So that was the idea, and it's basically allowed the city to expand to the north, which has created value in those areas where there was none. If you remember what it was like pre-bomb, you couldn't give space away in the north of the city. The corn exchange was just a little jumble sale or whatever it was going on. There was all the Cannon Street bus station and all that. The print works was derelict. It was just a car park on the site of Urbis, and so on. So that breaking that north-south barrier which went along Market Street was really important in terms of rethinking how the city can re-establish itself as a new place and move beyond the damage that occurred in the 70s.
And you were definitely drawn to the new, rather than, as you say, a Mancunian thinking, well, I like the place the way it was.
I certainly didn't like the place the way it was. I think we could improve on that. And I mean, I think it's about working with the best of what is there and restoring that, as they did with the Corn Exchange. I think the Triangle, I think as a building, I think is quite strong now. The print works, forget the interior, but the actual building is quite good.
My mate runs it. I'll tell him to forget the interior.
Well, it's good for films, but and stag nights.
Well, listen, you were talking about the Arndale, which obviously got lots of criticism. Obviously, nobody thought about it when they were building it, but eventually it became highly criticised. That had to be completely revamped because of the bomb. And Glenn Barkworth is the general manager of the Arndale, and Glenn joins us now. Hello, Glenn.
Good evening.
What did 1996 mean for you then?
I wasn't in Manchester at the time.
You're not a bad judge then.
It certainly has shaped my life since then, I won't deny that. I arrived in Manchester in the year 2000 when a lot of Ian's work and a lot of other work was well underway at that stage.
And how do you feel the Arndale fits in now? And we might as well ask Ian while he's here how he feels the Arndale fits in with...
No, I think it works really well now, because I think what's happened since part of the reinvention of the Arndale was turning it to the outside as well as being an internal retail experience. So actually bits of street were given over to the Arndale and new frontages were built on, if you look at Cross Street, and obviously that whole area around where Next is now. So it actually has a street presence where originally it didn't have any street presence.
You go along with that, Glenn?
Absolutely. I think that what we're finding, it's not that I want to sort of build it up as a centre of two halves at the moment, because a lot of money was spent on the existing area, but certainly the new development itself is intended to be that streetscape. And certainly as we go down into Winter Gardens that opens up in September, we're then interfacing with the visual side of the car park inside Arndale. So it really is engaging the city, as Ian was saying, outside in.
And what changes would you have seen? Obviously, because in the 6 years you've been here, things have been changing as we go along. What changes have you noticed?
I think that I don't want to really spend too much time on the architecture. I'm not an architect. I'm a shopping centre manager, and the biggest changes I've seen is perceptions. I came into the city still part fear within the people, but there is this magnificent pride, passion and resilience that I've begun to respect with the Manchester people. And certainly that is the biggest thing that I've seen, is people coming back into the city and engaging with the city.
Well, we were talking earlier about the reputation that the Arndale had before, about it being a place... it was virtually... it was like a football stadium, really. There were difficult to find doors in and out of it. And, as we were saying, some people went in, came out, went home and never saw the rest of the city. Do you feel that that's changed?
It's interesting. 1995, we had 27.5 million people through those portals that people couldn't find to get in.
Yeah.
Here we are 10 years later, and we're just cracking that figure. Right? It's taking us 10 years to turn it round. And so that, you know, it wasn't a place that people ignored to a great extent. It was a high visible area, right? I'm not going to go into the architecture again, sure. But people, you know, came into and welcomed. It became, if you like, iconic as part of the retail scape of Manchester is concerned.
Yeah, the point I'm making, though, is that they used it, but at the expense of the rest of the city centre, if you like.
I think that's right, and certainly that everything that we're aiming for at the moment in time is to ensure that engagement with the city centre is there. Certainly, we operate and control New Cathedral Street as well, and it's very important for us that the synergy of the city does roll through the entire area, from St Anne's into Exchange, and then obviously into Arndale itself. Absolutely vital.
Where are you from yourself?
I'm Lincoln born and bred.
Right. Oh, not many Arndale centres in Lincolnshire, I don't think, is there, really?
I don't know of any, I'm afraid.
So, how do you feel, and how have your perceptions of Manchester changed? Because obviously you're affected. Well, you get the knock-on effects of a lot of the things that Ian does.
Absolutely. I mean, certainly, I've been to Manchester on many occasions before I started working here, so I knew of it pre-96. I remember driving my car up New Cannon Street, up the vehicular access into the car park up there, that was obviously made redundant after the bomb, etc. And no disrespect to Manchester or its past, but its reputation went before it. It was a little dirty, a little grimy, a little unsafe. And certainly the work that's been played on that by all parties has changed that significantly. And hopefully now that we have a city, not only that we can be proud of architecturally, but it's a safe, clean city. It's an environment you can engage in. And again, I can hear Ian's comments in regards to Printworks. It's 38 bars in there, occupies 10 to 12,000 people go into there at weekends. The engagement with the city is the most significant factor that I've seen before.
So when you go back to Lincolnshire and people say, "Are you Glenn? You're working in that Manchester? What do you do now? How was that for an accent? Was that all right?" bit of East Anglia there, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of East Anglia, but I wouldn't say that the yellow bellies of Lincolnshire would be proud of that.
Oh, well, it's the nearest I can get.
Yeah,
well, I mean, do you tut and roll your eyes?
took the opportunity. I thought that 6 years ago, when the opportunity was there for me to run Arndale, on a personal basis, obviously I was proud. 6 years later, the prideness has changed in remarkable sense. I have got a pride for Manchester now. I'll never be a Mancunian because of my place of birth, but I like to think that there's parts of the characteristics of the people and the city that I've adopted. You know, it's a very slightly aggressive nature. It's also an arrogant nature that...
How dare you?
Well, it is. I love it, right? It's the idea of looking forward. Yes, we've got so here we go, it's got a wonderful history, but there's this view that we will go forward. With just a slight look over our shoulders to see where we've been, but let's go forward.
All right, mate. Well, obviously you'll be up for work in the morning. So, Glenn Barkworth, General Manager of the Arndale Centre, thank you for joining us. We'll talk to Peter in Salford in just a sec. But let me put something to you. I mean, Glenn there was talking about the place being safe and what have you. It's arguably that, you know, things can't be totally safe. But would you count Urbis as one of your triumphs? Because it's a bit slow getting off the ground, isn't it?
Urbis is my favourite building that we
having to throw people in.
You've got to think about it in the long term, really. This building was built on the back of Millennium funding, so we couldn't call it an art gallery, we couldn't call it a museum. We had to call it something else. And we've got a fantastic asset for the city there as a very flexible building. I mean, there's lots of people going in there now. I always thought that it should be free entry, which it wasn't at the time, and it was the only cultural building that wasn't free entry at the time. It was first opened. So we've got restaurants and galleries, and those are constantly changing. When you're designing a building like that, the exhibitions change every 5 years anyway. So it was about creating a very flexible, very iconic building for the city, and I think the fact that it's used on BA posters for flights to Vienna, or record sleeves, or T-shirts, or used as images, and it was an image that was presented at the cathedral in terms of the commemoration of the bomb last Thursday. And I think it's a Manchester building. There isn't one like it anywhere else in the world. It's unique to the city. And okay, its uses will evolve, but I think over the next few years it's going to embed itself very strongly as a Manchester building and will become associated with the success of the city.
So its use wasn't altogether your decision?
We didn't design any of the exhibitions at the time.
So
we designed
you
a flexible
just designed the building
space,
and the inside. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, going to the outside though, this is a quote, a critique of it. The centre is dedicated to exploring urban culture and cities of today and tomorrow, so on and so forth. But this is the bit. The area surrounding Urbis is also often used as a hangout place for an extraordinary word, subcultural teenagers, such as emo kids, goths and moshers. Do any of those terms mean anything to you?
I've seen them.
Oh, right.
I've seen them.
Well, I know one when I see one.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Listen to this, though. The congregation is at its peak on Saturdays and during school holidays, with several hundred often present. Recently, Manchester City Council and local businesses have sought a dispersal order to remove these young people whom they accuse of antisocial behaviour. There is some irony in the dispersal of part of the culture which the centre supposedly celebrates.
Yeah.
Now that's what people say. People say, it's all very well for these architects celebrating their grand ideas, but they build things and we have to live with the consequences. Didn't they realise that this would be a congregating place for tearaways?
But I think it's fantastic that those people gather there. And they've chosen to gather there.
I know the council have chosen to get them shifted.
Well, I don't agree necessarily with moving them on. I think if people want to gather like that outside a building in a public space like that, I think it's fantastic for the city, and I think it should be supported, not dispersed.
It's not fantastic for people shopping who feel whose perception is one of being threatened.
Well, if you walk through that group of people, they're just young people dressed up. I mean, that's all it is, and there's nothing threatening about it at all. It's far more threatening going down to Old Trafford or somewhere like that.
Ooh,
actually,
Old Trafford, yeah.
Well, I wouldn't know any other stadiums there. So the actual place itself, I think, is fantastic having all those young kids there. And the only downside is they wear the grass out. You know, I mean, that's a simple thing. So.
Well, in that case, you should put in desire lines. That's an architectural term, isn't it?
It is, and I think those desire lines are pretty well imprinted into the grass right now.
Right, well, get some hardcore down. Right, we'll take a quick phone call in a second. Peter in Salford has given us a bell. We'll speak to him in a tick. We've got Ian Simpson of Ian Simpson Architects in the studio, man responsible for most of the significant buildings that you see in Manchester City Centre and further afield. A few more words from him and some from Peter in Salford in a second. 0161 288 0103 is, of course, the number which will put you on Key 103.
Download your World Cup survival guide and live like a footballer's wife. Log on to key103.co.uk with the Lowry Outlet Mall Salford Keys.
Okay, all together now.
Just one. Cheats to. Delicious. Vanilla and strawberry. Give me romance.
World Cornetto. It just takes one.
Bravo, Britta.
After school, he'd give me my secret homework. He'd do gross things to me. I didn't want to tell anybody, because he'd just think I was dirty. It went on and on until I told someone. They made me realise it wasn't my fault and I had nothing to be ashamed of. If it's happened to you, when you're ready, visit the NSPCC website, don'thideit.com, or call Childline on 0800 1111. Remember, if you've been sexually abused, you don't have to hide it anymore.
Can I help you, sir? Yes, I've just come back from holiday to find I was charged extra for using my card abroad.
Not a charge, sir. That's a tip.
A tip?
Yes, people love tipping abroad. They'll tip anything. Restaurants, doormen, taxis, beach attendants, policemen. So when in Rome...
Yeah, I didn't go to Rome.
Oh, you must. Look, it's just that people do things differently in other countries. That's why we call them foreign. And we thought you'd like to get the full experience.
Unlike some places, Nationwide don't charge you any extra when you use your cards abroad. After all, it's your money, whatever the currency.
Aren't tips meant to be optional?
They are optional, and we opted to take your money. Bye.
Nationwide, proud to be different.
I've been seduced before, oh yes. By estate agents who promise a des res but show you a shoebox. By aftershave that guarantees women will fall at your feet. In fact, they just pass out from the fumes. By easy-to-assemble flat-pack furniture. By a washing powder that would keep my pants whiter than white, yet they're still beiger than beige. And by the tantalising aroma of many a kebab shop.
Some things aren't what they're cracked up to be. When surveyed, the majority of people who left BT didn't make the savings they thought they would. Turns out the grass isn't greener after all. BT, bringing it all together. Claim based on an independent survey of 156 customers who'd left BT. Survey conducted between January and March 06.
He's heading home again!
Football. I'm tired of football. And footballers. I wouldn't mind their money, though.
Don't dream about the lifestyle of a footballer's wife. Win it with Boots and Coca-Cola. 2 nights in a 5-star London hotel, tons of pampering, shopping at Tiffany's and Harvey Nichols, plus dinner at 2 swanky restaurants. Drop into Boots before the 5th of July for how to enter, plus our special deal of any 2 500ml bottles of Coke or Diet Coke for £1.30. No purchase necessary. Conditions apply. Boots and Coca-Cola.
It's the perfect match!
Key 103 are bringing the beautiful South to Manchester. Tickets are on sale now, so don't miss out. Call the Key 103 ticket line on 08701 223 103 or book online at aloud.com. The beautiful South, live at the MEN Arena on Friday the 15th of December.
Manchester is greater.
Only with Manchester's official concert station. Key 103. The James H. Reeve phone in on Key 103. Call now on 0161 288 0103.
Right, it's, what time is it? Oh dear. I'm sorry, the coaxial from the telly's hanging in front of the clock. It's, 8 minutes to 11. Let's go to Peter in Salford. You're on Key 103, Peter. And you're talking to Ian Simpson.
Good evening, James.
Oh, you've been waiting all this time. You could have got rid of that.
Good evening, also, Ian.
Yes.
Listen, right, last week I was in Manchester, and I was having a look at all the new stuff that's going on, including the new courts building, top of New Bailey Street. By the way, are you involved in that as well?
No, that's not one of mine. That's a practice called Denton, Cork and Marshall.
Right, right.
The Civil Justice Centre, it's called.
That's right. Well, what kind of made me think when I was looking at that and other buildings is it seems these days, correct me if I am wrong, but there seems to be a trend these days of using less and less concrete and more other materials. Am I right about that?
It is an interesting question in terms of materiality, because I mean the perception of concrete is obviously one that we think about in terms of the 60s and staining and so forth. So, but it doesn't mean to say that concrete isn't used. If you look at our Hilton Tower, we've got a low-level building that actually contains the ballroom and meeting rooms next to the tower. It's a large building in itself, but that's actually constructed from precast concrete panels, polished concrete panels. You'd think they were stone rather than concrete because they're not the usual grey board-marked concrete that we see around. So the material is still around. It's just that we've reinvented a sort of a different type of use of it, rather than so that it actually is something much better visually than what we might have seen in the 60s.
Right, because there's no two ways about it. Things are looking more, cosmetically better than many years ago.
I think the way that we approach materials is from the inside out in many ways, and if you look at most of our towers or buildings, it's about the light that comes into those spaces. So you also need a material that can keep the rain out, and there's not many materials that can do that other than glass. So we tend to get accused of using glass a lot, but it's actually because I'm interested in light. And obviously with natural light, and with a tall building, you also have the added advantage of the view as well, so you can look out of it. And then if you want to close it down, you can put other layers, blinds and louvers and other things behind it. Whereas concrete, it's a bit of a one-liner really. It's just black, it's just empty, it's dark, and then over a period of time, generally, it just stains and it becomes quite horrific. I mean, you just have to look at the Ramada building up on next to number 1 Deansgate, which is the last bit of the Shambles West development that hasn't been developed yet, which it hopefully will be over the next few years. But it's a pretty poorly stained 70s building, and it's, you know, it's 30, 40 years old.
Yeah, Highland House is another one that really should come down.
Can that be remedied?
It can. I mean, it can certainly be cleaned and sealed, but in the main it wants, in my view, quite a lot of it needs taking away, and just sort of a new envelope being placed on those sorts of buildings.
Any ideas of a company who could do that sort of work?
As it happens. We did win the competition to do that building, but we've not moved on to that yet.
Busy man. A couple of things. All right, Peter, clear off now. This is a couple of text messages here. My 14-year-old daughter loves spending time with her pals outside Urbis and a nicer bunch of kids you couldn't meet. So you'll be pleased with that one.
Great, yeah.
She will cherish these days. And this is something, you'll steam into this one. It is a sad fact, says this text message, that Manchester's evil, tentacled urban sprawl is forever encroaching on the beauty of Lancashire.
It's again, I mean, I'm passionate about redeveloping our cities. I hate suburbia. I like the countryside and I like the city. So I think we should be doing much more high-density buildings in the cities on those brownfield sites that have already been developed. Creating new spaces, such as Cathedral Gardens wasn't there before. It's a new public space, as is Exchange Square. But then really, really intensely developing the sites that we have left, so that we can actually be left with a countryside. Because in 200 years' time, we won't have one.
I knew you'd say that. You were trying to stop the spread. I knew. I was feeding you that line. I'll be perfectly honest. Something you talked about light and all this, that and the other. The buildings are ultra modern. They to get to your Olive Grove, 400 feet up in the air.
Yeah.
Which, incidentally, I'm sorry to digress for a moment, but I noticed in the autumn we had a bit of low cloud. And you won't be able to see anything. When you go up in the morning, you won't be able to see a thing, will you?
I think that's fantastic, though, to actually be sort of hidden in the clouds. It would just be, who needs curtains?
Okay, then. I don't suppose you have to bother, really, getting undressed, do you? Until somebody builds one higher.
Well, actually, you can see quite a lot, particularly with telescopes and binoculars. I can see right onto my floor from my apartment in number 1 Deansgate, so I am aware of that.
Okay, then.
Yeah.
Well, to go back to the original question, we see a lot of buildings now which are energy efficient, environmentally aware, and yours looks like one which uses enough electricity to power a village, and if perhaps in 30 years' time, when we're all been reduced to strip farming again, you won't be able to get to your olive grove because you need a lift to go up and down.
You will need a lift, but the good thing about a tall building is it's actually very, very low energy. You can use what's called a combined heat and power system. That means it's a very low fuel, and you can use it to heat the swimming pools, the office buildings, and you use the reclaimed heat in different parts of different buildings. Not that I want to get into it particularly because it's not my field, but it's a very low energy building, and the heat losses from a building like that are quite limited in the fact that it's a 276-bed hotel and 219 apartments, and there's 4 walls. So the heat loss out of that, compared with acres and acres of cul-de-sacs with all their separate linked detached houses, the heat loss through a building like that can be controlled quite much more.
The exterior surface.
Because the exterior surface and the sort of the performance of that external envelope is much better than a brick wall or a brick with a window in it, a traditional timber window in a traditional wall. So it's very high performance. We can maximise the solar gain into the building. You can use heating systems that can be driven off different fuel types as those evolve and develop. It has minimal heat loss, and you've got one point of service connection and one drainage connection, rather than miles and miles of digging up pipe work and laying. And I think we've just got to reinforce that, and there are lots of areas, Southern Gateway round here, Ancoats, North Manchester, East Manchester, those areas that really should be embraced within what's perceived as a city centre. All those areas can offer a whole variety of different types of homes and office space and leisure and other things. So I think we'll see a much larger city centre in the next 15 years, and a much more vibrant place, and one full of people enjoying themselves, hopefully.
And do you want people to look at Manchester in years to come, just as they look at Paris and Berlin and I think Washington, isn't it? It was all laid out according to the desire of a particular... You'll know the names, won't you? Houseman and all this sort of thing. And say, Simpson.
Well, I don't think I'm going to have anything like the effect that anyone's had in someone like Barcelona or Paris. We're just doing a series of buildings, and we're just trying to do the very best we can with each opportunity. And if it all makes the place a better place, then I'll be quite happy with that.
Just a humble artisan, really.
Absolutely, that's me.
In his olive grove. Right, Ian Simpson, thanks for joining us. We'll let you go now. Thanks very much indeed. That was Ian Simpson, and is it on Partners?
Just Ian Simpson Architects.
Ian Simpson Architects. And if you've just joined us, and you've missed about an hour of good stuff, really, because he's the man who's designed all the big buildings you look at, and of which you form an opinion in the centre of Manchester. Anyway, pop in again in a bit, and we'll do some more of this. I enjoyed that. Right, we're going to change the direction dramatically now. 0161 288 0103 to talk about other matters, and I'll give you a little bit of a pointer as to what we might talk about. Also, I'll tell you what I'll do. Before you go in, I'll print these off for you, because we've got 1 or 2 enquiries about, look what you've done now. You've discovered a hidden desire for a number of punters to learn to be architects. So you've spawned future generations, I would think. I'll print these off for you, and you can have a read of them. Much obliged. It's 4 minutes past 11. This is James H. Reeve on Key 103. We'll change tack in a mo.
2 in the morning on Key 103.
Well, we're off at the minute, but if you're finding there's a massive Mike and Chelsea-sized hole in your life...
And with my thighs, that's a big hole.
Why not listen to the Toolan Cast on the Key 103 website, key103.co.uk. I'm very, very funny.
Looking.
Shut up.
Isn't it unbelievable the way banks treat you?
You pay in a cheque.
And you have to wait
Days before your bank starts to credit your account with interest.
Waiting days? What's that all about?
But not at Lloyds TSB.
They're the first and only bank
To pay you interest from the day you pay in
To the day your bills get paid.
So if you use cheques, standing orders and internet banking...
you could earn over 150 days more interest a year.
If you're losing interest in your bank, switch to Lloyds TSB. Lloyds TSB, you first. Personal current accounts paying interest. Same-day interest on up to £1,000 of cheques a day. Paid in over counters 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. weekdays.
He'd come in my room and touch me. He said it was normal and kept buying me presents. I was confused, because I thought it must happen to everyone. It went on for ages until I told someone. I felt better just being able to talk about it. If it's happened to you, when you're ready, visit the NSPCC website, don'thideit.com, or call Childline on 0800 1111. Remember, if you've been sexually abused, you don't have to hide it anymore.
Rough track. Smooth track. Hard rock. Soft leather. Stormy weather. Climate control. With aircon, leather interior, and Sony 7CD auto-changer, no matter how hellish outside, it's always heaven inside the Ford Ranger Thunder, from only $13,950, with £550 of free accessories. Feel the difference.
Retail only. Price includes £3,000 saving on vehicles registered before 30th of June. Terms and conditions apply.
Oops, there goes the bookshelf. Splendid, dear.
Don't miss the IKEA sale with over 2 million items half price across all stores. Now on.
The James H. Reeve phone-in on Key 103. Call now on 0161 288 0103.
It's 6 minutes past 11. I'll just tidy something up, actually. We had an inquiry earlier. I'm just looking for a text message here, which was, please don't refer to leading architect and potential Knight of the Realm, Ian Simpson. Don't refer to him as Bob the Builder, thank you. Very disrespectful. Where is it? Oh, here we are. James, please can you help? I was watching the French match, and the French coach, who's, what's his name? Domenech. The French coach bears a resemblance to someone who currently escapes me. Well, I can help you on that. In fact, if you visit our website, which is key103.co.uk, you'll see that we've helpfully put up a picture of Mr. Raymond Domenech and the person he resembles, who you're thinking of, who is, of course, Paul O'Grady. He's a ringer. And he looks like him as well. So, go to key103.co.uk and you will find visible evidence of the resemblance. Thanks very much, Tom. Just, we try to help everyone in our own way. Right, matters for discussion this evening. What about this? I tell you what, I heard this. I had a bit of a bad chest over the weekend, so when I snorted in disgust at this, I'm afraid just a little bit of a hanging Harry came adrift. People who work and claim benefit do so often because they are in dire financial trouble. This is according to the Joseph Rowntree Foundation, who have done a lot of valuable work in the 19th and early 20th century. However, that was 100 years and more ago. This is what they reckon. Many claimants take illegal cash-in-hand jobs to pay for food and heating. And the author of the study says they are hard-working, ordinary people trying to survive day by day. That's what they say. A spokesman for them said if you're poor and living in a deprived area, informal work is actually helping people out of absolute abject poverty, helping them survive. It's providing for the basics like food and heating. Is that right? Then there's a lot of complicated stuff about tax credits and what have you, and financial incentives and so on. But the point is this, I don't know. I mean, the Joseph Rowntree Foundation, in the days of the poor laws and what have you, probably did a great deal of valuable work. But in 2006, who are they kidding? Who needs to fiddle to pay for light, heat and food? Nobody. People fiddle to pay for Xboxes and sessions at the tanning centre. That's what they fiddle for. It's perfectly simple. And you really, I mean, I don't know why. It's preposterous. All the people who fiddle, I'm sure they all smoke enthusiastically and drink, and they've all got expensive trainers and what have you. Designer this, that and the other, designer tracky bottoms or whatever. So I'm afraid the Joseph Rowntree Foundation, they want to get real. Parents could be informed of the whereabouts of sex offenders after Home Secretary John Reeve signalled a major policy shift. He's disclosed that he is considering calls to provide public access to information about paedophiles in the community. He's also ordered the removal of 60 convicted sex offenders from hostels close to schools. The move follows this investigation by a newspaper which we shall call, for the sake of argument, the News of the World, who are thrilled to bits about all this, despite previous indiscretions they might have committed. They found that 11 hostels housing paedophiles are close to schools, a situation which is described by the Conservatives as astonishing. Yeah, like it never happened when they were in. However, the National Offender Management Service has been told that the hostels must not be allowed to accommodate sex offenders in future. I'm not really certain whether that makes any difference, because, you know, you're only like 50p bus ride away from the school virtually wherever you live in the country. So that will be a bit of a struggle. But Mr. Reed has sent a Home Office minister to study practices in the United States. Well, that is the home of Meghan's Law, isn't it? And what is happening is that a woman called Sarah Payne had a daughter murdered at the age of 8. I'm sorry, that was grammatically terrible, but 8-year-old Sarah Payne was murdered, and her mother Sarah is trying to introduce the equivalent of Meghan's Law over here. On the other hand, an expert in rehabilitating sex offenders said this fact-finding trip to the United States is a waste of money. He says the trip's not needed because the law has already been investigated by officials. 80% of sexual abuse of children occurs within the family. And he says they're not going to notify the community about those men because they're not allowed by law to identify who the children are. It worries me that a new Home Secretary comes and doesn't appear to know what his department, his government has been doing for years and years, and why they came up with the Sex Offender Register multi-agency public protection panel. So, no difference, according to this bloke whose name is Ray Wire, as it happens. And I'll tell you what, this is a great idea. This is in Israel. What a fantastic idea. How to resolve disputes and get rid of stress. This happened in Tel Aviv. Stressed out Israelis have had a revolutionary idea to release built-up tension. Dozens of people equipped with pillows and cushions took part in an organised mass pillow fight in Rabin Square in Tel Aviv. There was a countdown as the crowds raised their feathery weapons, that's a lovely expression, isn't it, and prepared to attack everyone and anyone who came near. After a few minutes, feathers flew in all directions as participants shouted at each other. Only one rule, keep your head down. That was it. And Israeli police were prepared for trouble but remained on the sidelines as the event was good-natured and ended peacefully. So that, actually, we might have a try there. Alternative means of resolving international disputes and relieving stress in the population as a whole. 0161 288 0103 mass pillow fight. I'm quite disappointed that Jeux Sans Frontières was discontinued. I think we should bring it back. The only disadvantage is it would probably give Give him something to do, wouldn't it? Probably give Stuart Hall another opportunity to show off. There's a bit of a drawback. But, you know, the idea isn't bad. 0161 288 0103. Darren is in Stockport, and he's the first hillman in the post-11 o'clock stage of proceedings. Hello, Darren.
Hello, how you doing, mate? You alright?
Oh, fantastic.
Just going on about paedophile things and things like that. I've been in hostels, I've been in jail, and I've lived in a house. Do you know what I mean? It's all connected kind of thing.
For what type of crime? For the
hostel, I was in there before I went in jail. The hostel was basically because you had nowhere to live.
Right.
So I went in there, like, so...
What I'm trying to establish is were your spells in these institutions, was it for crimes of a similar nature? Of
No, I didn't do no.
Right.
That's what I mean, but that's another story. You know what I mean? We'd be on for hours, wouldn't we?
No.
But we went in the hostels because we had nowhere to go.
Right.
So, like, basically that got set up. So I went in there, and you live around people, like, kind of thing, what have come out of jail, and basically, you're not allowed to know what they've done.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? And
You talk to each other, don't you?
Yeah. You get to find out things. They're not a nice place. The one what I was in was actually one of the best ones what you can go in, apparently.
How many stars?
Well, I don't know. I didn't ask on that one. But they're not pretty, put it that way. It's just basically just a little room. And it's not that, it's the people you're living round. Do you get what I mean? It's all the trouble what comes with it. So, obviously, like, this was a couple of years ago before I had my baby, this. And it was like, so I was there. While I was living there, I've walked up with a lad, and he's gone and robbed someone, you know what I mean, and basically whatever. So I've ended up in jail, because I was there. Alright, so I did my 9 months, got 9 months, did 3.5, for something I didn't do. So, when you're in jail, that's when you start seeing what they're all like. You get what I mean? Because there's guys who come in there who have actually, you know, assaulted children and, you know, things like that.
Yeah.
And basically, I mean, I won't wish it on anyone, me, but, I mean, I think they deserve it, you know what I mean? It's one of them things.
Hang on, do you think who deserves what?
Paedophiles. Paedophiles deserve everything they get.
Well, when you say they deserve everything they get, what they appear to get is possibly 5 years in Nick.
No, it's not.
Which is what is causing all the row.
It's not the 5 years. It's the mental abuse. What you get. I mean, I did my time in Strangeways. Like, what's a nasty place anyway? And as soon as they come in, like, I got a job as a cleaner, so I had it pretty cushy. Anyway, like, as soon as the guys come in and they've done things like that, the screws basically tell you straight away, you know, in the morning, like, yeah, so-and-so's come in, he's in this cell. And they lock them up for their own safety kind of thing, yeah? Yeah. So, basically, everybody off the whole wing, whatever wing they're on, will come to their cell, open their flat light kind of thing, and say, you're not getting out of here alive. And so it's not as though they're doing just 5 years, they're doing 5 years of everything else.
Five,
you get what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, just to go back, everyone's getting carried away with this 5-year figure. The actual story is that this bloke, Swede, was sentenced to life with consideration for parole after 5 years. There's no guarantee that he'll get it. But it contrasts, interestingly, with the two blokes convicted for the murder of that barman on Hampstead Heath, or Clapham Common, wherever it was, who were given life with 28 years before they could be considered for parole. And people think 28 years, that's more like it.
I mean, I was living around guys who... I mean, I'm one of the type of people, though, what, you know, I'm not into drugs and things like that, you see. And, like, as some of the best guys I got on with really well in there had got 20 years. Things like that. And I thought to myself, you know, why has he got that, yet this other guy's got this? You know, it's things like that. You know, that's why they all come out bitter. And they come out worse. Do you know what I mean? Luckily, I was only in there for a short time, but I hadn't done anything anyway. But it's the point that these people, you know what I mean? It's different sentences for everybody. And it's wrong.
Well, I mean...
You know what I mean? It's got to be sorted.
You'll be aware that there's a considerable emotion and confusion surrounding the whole sentencing policy, which is baffling. And I mean, a few years ago they showed that the penalty for speeding varied from one part of the country to the next. So for more serious crimes, it's more significant. But look, I want to go back to something you said before. You said that the prison officers told people in strange ways if someone was in for child molestation or...
Oh, they do that all the time.
Right. And whilst I'm sure they didn't encourage you officially, there is an implication that you might like to visit this person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they do that as soon as you go in there.
So...
if you're a cleaner, they don't tend to do it with everybody, they just do it with the cleaners kind of thing.
Yeah. So, well, that's called, I have a First World War expression for you might enjoy. Shall I tell you this? I do this from time to time. I'll go off on a bit of a tangent, right?
Come on, then.
Right. A furphy merchant. Do you want me to explain that for you? Right. You'll find this is true. The water carts, they used to take water in big cylinders, like up to the trenches, were made by a firm called Furphy's, an Australian firm.
Yeah.
And the bloke who drove it, obviously, he used to visit all the various battalions along the line, and he'd take a rumour. If he got a rumour from one battalion, obviously he'd take it on to the next one, wouldn't he? So that's how the word was spread.
Yeah.
So they were called Furphy merchants. Anyway, you might want to use that and baffle somebody at some point. But this is the point. See, the people who went and threatened, intimidated, whatever it was, these people. And this is why I've never been convinced by the good hiding argument. Is that, for all you know, the people who gang up on the child molester, they might have committed a burglary or a robbery, which has left an old person terrified.
What they usually do, though, is if can interrupt. Usually, if somebody's like done something to a child or something, right, you go into a jail, like, and they put you into a certain cell, and they'll lock you away for your own safety, so you're not allowed out.
Right.
So it's not as though you can have what the class as basically, you know, just being around people. You know, as soon as they open the doors and things like that, they won't even do that with them. Do you get what I mean?
Okay, so they can't actually be, because there are tales of people having boiling water thrown over them and being pushed downstairs and all the rest of it.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as, like, I recall one day, I woke up in the morning, walked out, and I remember one of them coming up to me and saying, like, yeah, the guy in there, so I can't remember which one it was, and he said, like, he's in for this and that. And before you knew it, everybody knew. And he was getting, and basically they had to lock everybody up to move him off the wing.
Right.
And I don't know where they moved him to, I don't know. I don't know if it was a different jail or whatever. But you have to do that because, I mean, if people know what they're in there for, basically they'd be stabbed up and all sorts in no time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. Well, I'll tell you something, Dan. I'm not convinced by the righteous indignation of the other prisoners who decide that they will have a go at the paedophile, because, as I say, they might be in there for robbing an old lady who now, for the rest of her life, is going to be terrified to go out of the house.
Yeah.
Is going to be terrified at every noise that she hears. And the effect that they've had on her might be possible to equate it with whatever the paedophile has done. in terms of the effect it's had on someone. So I don't think that is natural justice. I think it's unpleasant people taking an opportunity to gang up.
Prison's not meant to be nice anyway, is it?
Oh, no, I'm sure, but they dress it up as if somehow they're morally superior to the paedophile, and my argument is that not necessarily the case at all. In fact, it's just another demonstration of their nastiness that they decide to join the anti-paedophile gang.
It's one of them, isn't it? Safety reasons, isn't it? I mean, say like the cleaners. I mean, to be a cleaner anyway, you've got to be an half-decent size, right? And that's the way it works in there. You know, like, you don't see any skinny ones or anything like that.
Well, something to do with the length of the mop?
They do where the screws kind of thing, they think they work with you, right? They see you as you're on their side.
Right.
Yeah. So what they do is they tend to get, you know, pretty fairly big guys or whatever. Anyway, it's like the only people who can get like paedophiles or whatever, right? Because obviously nobody else can get at them because they're locked up. Is the cleaners, because they serve the food, you know, and things like that. And we're always like we're not locked up, so they come down for the dinner. You know who they are then, and then that's it. So basically, they lock you up and move them off. If it comes to that point. I mean, even that morning, they were saying, like, the guy had only been in, it was about half an hour. Do you know what I mean? And they were saying, like, you know, let's do it at, dinner time. You know, and it's things like that. I mean, there's all sorts of kind of things you can do to him. But by the time
I'm sure there are, yeah.
By the time you get from the bottom to the top, you know what I mean? He's going to get hurt. So, I mean, basically, he locks everybody up. And that's it. Leave them off.
All right, Dan, I'm going to leave it there. That was a fascinating insight into that particular world, is the only expression I can come up with. Darren, I'm going to move on, son. That was Darren from Stockport. A little, a description, allegation of what actually goes on when a paedophile goes to prison. Clearly, you are sent to prison as punishment, not for punishment. The deprivation of your liberty is the sentence, not to be assaulted, injured by other people who are quite possibly in there for doing things as bad. Rather regressible aspects of human nature. Anyway, 0161 288 0103. That's what goes on. What is being considered at the highest level is what should go on as regards people who've committed crimes of that nature. And I was reading, obviously the papers are full of it today, and I read something which is a very simple question. It's all this argument about whether paedophiles should be let out after, or considered for parole after 3 years or 5 years or 10 years or whatever. If someone is persistently given to committing a crime like that, and most of the cases, the high-profile cases you read about, are of repeat or serial offenders, the question that this journalist was putting was, why consider them for parole at all? 0161 288 0103. We're going to Swinton in a second. It's 28 minutes past 11. It's James H. Reeve on Key 103.
Is the internet a bad thing or a good thing? With AOL, you can debate the issues affecting you. Key 103 and AOL are giving you the chance to win some amazing prizes. All you need to do is identify the discussion topic and you could win VIP gig tickets, a personal shopper experience, a spa break and loads more. Find out more at key103.co.uk and win all next week on Digi's Drive Home with AOL and Key 103. Key 103.
Oops, there goes the bookshelf.
Splendid, dear.
Don't miss the IKEA sale with over 2 million items half price across all stores. Now on.
When Mum was out, he gave me beer and showed me videos. Then do stuff to me. He said there'd be big trouble if I told anybody. I was dead scared to tell anyone. But one day, I plucked up the courage. It was tough, but it's worse if you don't tell someone. If it's happened to you, when you're ready, visit the NSPCC website, don'thideit.com, or call Childline on 0800 1111. Remember, if you've been sexually abused, you don't have to hide it anymore.
Can I help you, sir?
Yes, I'd like to vote on the future of this bank.
Ah, right, I'll just get a, ballot paper. There you go.
I'm sorry, you've just written this.
So?
Well, it's to vote on your lunch.
Yes, pork pie or Scotch egg.
I don't know.
All right, should I grow a moustache or a goatee?
I don't want to vote on that.
Well, what then?
Something of consequence about the bank, preferably.
Ah, I see, right. The new carpet, red or mauve?
This is ridiculous.
You're the one who wanted to vote. Can't handle being on the spot, eh? Imagine if I gave you something important to vote on.
Unlike some places, at Nationwide we let customers, not shareholders, have a say in how we run our business. If you're an eligible Nationwide member, you'll receive a voting form complete with an easy quick vote option to make things simple. Just return it in the prepaid envelope or pop it in the ballot box at any Nationwide. And for each vote, Nationwide will donate money to disability sport events. Up to £100,000 in all.
Look, I just want my voice to be heard, OK?
Oh, right, well, try cupping your hand round your mouth like this. Hello? Hello?
Nationwide. Proud to be different.
The James H. Reeve phone in on Key 103. Call now on 0161 288 0103.
Yeah, that'll put you on the wireless. And also, there was another story that I meant to point out to you. Listen to this. Listen to this. Where is it? All right, don't listen to it. I can't find it. Oh, yeah. A German engineer and his family have been left shocked and upset after England fans threw a block of stone at the front window of their home. Very nice, this. Oh, dear, it just gets worse. His name's Axel Helvig. OK. And his wife's Brazilian. And they each had a flag, the flag of their nation, a German flag and a Brazilian flag, in the windows of their house. And some Herberts threw a brick through the window, apparently shortly after the Trinidad-Tobago game. Not surprisingly, the people seen leaving the scene in haste were bedecked with England symbols. And where did this take place, do you imagine? Well, in Bramhall, in a semi-detached home in Bramhall. What sort of Herbert has done that? There's, I've just been having a look at the letters to the editor of the Manchester Evening News here, and there's all sorts of stuff here. Could you imagine the zeal and outrage by Greater Manchester Police and the BBC? The BBC? If a house with a Pakistani flag on display was attacked. Right. This aptly demonstrates some of the reason why I left Stockport, says a bloke who now lives in Berlin. He says, a cultural wasteland of a town populated for the most part by simplistic yuppies and brainless scallies. But you've got to be born somewhere. Personally, I hope England gets stuffed by the Germans, just to rile the jingoists. Right, and so on and so forth. Tony in Swinton, we'll have you on, son. You're on Key 103. What do you want?
Oh, yeah. You okay?
I are.
Right. You're talking about this, people on the A-diddle-diddle.
Oh, yes. Oh, I like it. Oh, a bit of rhyming slang. We like that, yes.
Yeah, well, you know, we're earning a few quid to get a few extra pints and smokes at the end of the week. Well, don't forget, I mean, that's taxed anyway, so the money's going to go back to the government in any case.
No, wait, whoa.
Let me make my point. Let me make my point.
Well, I fail to see how you will, but proceed.
Right, well, you're talking about a few £1 million being fiddled. Well, what about the billions of pounds on corporate fraud? What about all that? That never gets mentioned. I mean, you know, somebody blags a few pounds to get a few packets of cigarettes, and then somebody rips companies off for millions.
So too.
I mean, look at that. I mean, it's not only that does money get, you know, fraudulent money in corporations, but what about waste of money? I mean, look at that Scottish Power thing now, where they've been paid £7 million severance pay. You know, so you can't compare a few pound at the end of the week to billions of pounds that goes waste.
Well, can I just explain something, Tony? What you fail to realise here, apart from the fact that you've started to argue not merely that 2 wrongs make a right, but perhaps 3, 4 or 5 wrongs make a right, what you don't understand is that the Roundtree Foundation is on your side. You've just come on, right, presumably. I don't know whether you're referring in general terms or perhaps to yourself about a bit of fiddling going on, yeah?
Well, I work. I don't
All right,
don't claim anything.
But I'm sure you know people who have done a bit. I do. I know people that have worked.
Well, yeah, I think we all do. Yeah.
I think we all do. I think we all do. Right. Now then, the Joseph Rowntree Foundation. Now, the Joseph Rowntree Foundation did the poor of this country a fantastic service in the late 19th century, and part of their work. Their work was partly responsible for the whole concept of a welfare state that looks after people on low wages and what have you, right? But the system which they influenced has been in existence for, I think I'm right in saying, 100 years this year, when the first social security measures were introduced. Now, they're now talking about a world in which the measures they advocated have been in place for 100 years. So they were saying that people fiddle the social for food and for heat. And you've just come on and said they fiddle it for a few smokes and a few pints.
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter what you spend the money on. I mean, if there's somebody generally can't...
Whoa! Listen, let me tell you, it doesn't matter what you spend the money on.
Well, I mean, I don't mean it like that. It doesn't matter what you spend the money on. It's irrelevant. I mean, the point of the matter is that if people are experiencing hardship, they can't get a job.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people who genuinely can't get a job.
Yeah, of course there is. And there is unemployment benefit, and there's social security, and there's family income tax, this, that, and the other, whatever it's called. Right? There's all that, and that's there. That's there for people. Nobody has... Let me tell you something, right? You know the story that people in the West like to bandy about, that if you steal in Muslim countries, you get your hand cut off. And we love that, don't we? Right. Let me tell you what it says.
There'll be a lot of people walking around with no arms.
Right. Well, in this country, God blimey, Charlie.
Well, you know what do they do with all the arms when they cut them off? What do they do with them after?
I don't know, actually. I wonder if I might make inquiries there. I'll look into that. But listen, let me tell you what it says in the Quran. It says, if you steal because you want something, if you steal because you're greedy, then you shall have your hand cut off. It doesn't say it in the Quran, but it says it in Sharia law, which is... But it also says this. If you steal because you or your family are hungry, then this is not stealing. And the man who has more than you, but will not give you any of it, he's the one who should be punished.
David Bowie had a song about that, something along those lines. God knows I'm good, God knows I'm good. Remember where she goes in a supermarket and steals some steak?
Who did?
And, well, David Bowie wrote a song saying, God knows I'm good. Surely God will look the other way. She's got to feed the kids, and she goes into a supermarket and steals some food.
There we are, you see. There we are. We can, the David Bowie confirming what the Prophet Muhammad thought of his own volition. So that's nice. And when she was stopped, and the security bloke said, what are you doing with that steak? She said, roast potatoes. That's a fact. Well, listen.
Well, you're talking about fingers. I know somebody had all the fingers cut off once. The lot went in a sawmill. And when he went to hospital, the doctor said, well, why didn't you bring your fingers with you? We've got technology these days. We can stitch them back on. He said, well, I couldn't pick them up.
Yeah, there is that point, yeah. That always reminds me of that bit in, is it Escape from Alcatraz? I think it is, where the doc cuts his fingers off with the... anyway, never mind all that.
I've been to Alcatraz. It's fantastic.
Oh, that's very nice of you. Yeah.
They give you a Walkman. You can walk around there and they tell you the story of it. Brilliant.
That's very nice indeed. Now, listen...
But anyway, going back to this point,
yes.
Let's not just address this people doing a little bit of diddling on the Nat King Cole. Let's look at corporate...
Yeah, I know, but look, everybody's... There might be loads of people at it, but the point is that you're missing the point here. That, yes, we know all about, and of course it is nauseating, the people...
Where's all the pension funds gone?
Quite so. But this is not the point. Right, there are people, legally, although doubtlessly immorally, paying each other massive bonuses for running down industries, for losing millions and throwing thousands of people out of work and awarding themselves hundreds of thousands, if not millions of pounds bonuses. There are people doing all sorts of tax avoidance and what have you. There are people doing all sorts of illegal things on a much bigger scale. But the point is this: for a start, two wrongs do not make a right. Although you can argue about the relative significance of the fiddling. Let's call it fiddling, right? But this is not the point. The point is, they're not saying people are fiddling to buy beer and smokes, as you described. They are saying people are fiddling because they have nothing to eat, because they cannot keep warm. That is why they fiddle. Therefore, forgive them, or raise the benefits. So, and to tell me that people have got nothing to eat in Britain is not true.
Well, I went without food for 3 days once, many years ago.
Well, yeah,
when we had the recession, honestly.
It was probably because you had a terrible hangover and couldn't keep anything down.
It wasn't anything to do with it, honestly. I had nothing to eat for 3 days.
How was that? You had nothing.
Well, I was out of work. I was actually put out of work in that. You know, when we had the recession in the 80s, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I was out of work, and I was on benefit, and I was waiting for a Gregory Peck to come, and I had no food for 3 days. I literally had no food. I mean, you don't want to go round to somebody's house and say, you know, how about some food? Like, it's embarrassing. I went round to my friend's house one night after about 2.5 days, and towards the end of the night, he said, do you fancy a cup of tea and a cheese sandwich? I thought he'd never ask.
I know.
I'm telling you. I mean, the first 2 days weren't too bad. Well, the first day was terrible, but the second days weren't too bad. I had to go strawberry picking. You know, I tell you what, you know, I've not had anything to eat for 3 days, and that was the finest meal that I had. I bought fish and chips in sale on the way home, and that was the finest meal that I ever had in my life.
I thought you said a basket of strawberries.
Oh, I did. I ate the strawberries. I had all red stuff around my face and everything. And,
I'll give you the runs, that.
Well, it got me home on the bike. I had no energy or nothing. But
I've just thought of a very rude joke about... what is it? Oh, yeah. A woman with no arms and no legs who went strawberry picking.
Yeah,
I can't do the punchline. Anyway, you have to use your imagination. Now then, right, so you're telling me that you had no food. You had to fiddle the social because you had no...
Well, I didn't fiddle the social. I just went and picked a few strawberries, you know, and ate them.
All right, you weren't on the... Hang on, where are you? Swinton? Oh, you'd be handy for that, isn't it?
No, not in Swinton. I went down to a farm in Cheshire.
All right. Only there's a place out near...
Good job it was downhill all the way there.
Yeah, yeah. Right, so... All right, Tony, well, you're trying to tell us that there's much worse things go on, but this is... That's not the point. The point is, this... I mean, they really want to have a look at people, don't they? I know it's all very well. It's all very well at Roundtree Foundation going, oh, look at the poor paupers, right? But they're not. They cannot. They just want to get rid of the, you know, stop being vegetarian, sandal-wearing people who pity, right? And just look at it. You know what's going on. I know of people. I know of people who they're fiddling, and they don't spend it on food. Right? They spend it in the Trafford Centre. You know. In the non-food department, I'll have you know, right? They spend it in the pub. They spend it on cigarettes. This is romantic nonsense, I'm afraid, from the Roundtree Foundation. Nobody is so poor that they have to steal to eat. And if they are, it's because they're probably too idle to fill in the necessary forms and sacrifice a couple of hours of their time sitting in the benefits office instead of in the bookies. That's the problem. It's too much trouble. 0161 288 0103. Got to do some of these now. There was a text message here. What have you got against Paul O'Grady? He's a all right guy. Well, I don't know. He's not funny. and he looks like the coach of the French football team. In fact, he'd probably do a better job on recent evidence. That's it. 0161 288 0103, whenever you like.
Key 103's £25,000 triple play.
This week we've given away £1,000. We've given away £5,000.
The first one, Sugar Babes, Push a Button, and the second one, Madonna, Like a Prayer.
Martin Robinson, from Oldham, you are caller number...
Come on.
25.
Yes! Get him!
Martin!
But we still haven't given away the big one. Key 103's £25,000 triple play. Could be any minute now. Better keep listening. Key 103.
Oops, there goes the bookshelf.
Splendid, dear. Don't miss the IKEA sale with over 2 million items half price across all stores. Now on.
I'm Eileen and I'm quitting with nicotine. I quit cigarettes about 6 weeks ago and I find that the nicotine lozenges are definitely helping. When I get a craving now, I pop nicotine lozenge in my mouth and I find that my cravings are gone within minutes. Before I quit cigarettes, I was really worried that I was going to put on a lot of weight. But I find they help take away my cravings for cigarettes and they help to reduce my food cravings.
Eileen quit smoking last year using nicotine CQ 4mg lozenges, which helped Eileen control her cravings and her weight while she quit. Requires willpower, contains nicotine, always read the label.
Can I help you, sir?
Yes, I'd like to vote on the future of this bank.
Ah, right. I'll just get a, ballot paper. There you go.
I'm sorry, you've just written this.
So?
Well, it's to vote on your lunch.
Yes, pork pie or Scotch egg.
I don't know.
All right. Should I grow a moustache or a goatee?
I don't want to vote on that.
Well, what then?
Something of consequence about the bank, preferably.
Ah, I see. Right. The new carpet, red or mauve?
This is ridiculous.
You're the one who wanted to vote. Can't handle being on the spot, eh? Imagine if I gave you something important to vote on.
Unlike some places, at Nationwide we let customers, not shareholders, have a say in how we run our business. If you're an eligible Nationwide member, you'll receive a voting form complete with an easy quick vote option to make things simple. Just return it in the prepaid envelope or pop it in the ballot box at any Nationwide. And for each vote, Nationwide will donate money to disability sport events. Up to £100,000 in all.
Look, I just want my voice to be heard, OK?
Oh, right, well, try cupping your hand round your mouth like this. Hello? Hello?
Nationwide. Proud to be different.
The James H. Reeve phone-in on Key 103. Call now on 0161 288 0103.
A helpful text message here. Islamic States donate the severed hands to nurseries and primary schools for finger painting. I think they call it recycling, says Johnny. Thanks very much indeed. Tar. John in Salford, you're on Key 103.
Hi, James.
Hello.
Right, I know the guy's gone who did the building and stuff, but I think the Beetham Tower's an absolute joke of a building and it should be knocked down.
This is Ian Simpson, the architect of who designed the Beetham Tower.
And the Urbis.
Urbis, number 1 Deansgate and so on and so forth.
Well, the Urbis is a joke anyway. It is full of moshers on the weekend and they make the place look untidy as well. Basically. But the building, it looks absolutely horrible and everyone I spoke to says the same thing about it. It looks hideous. It looks out of place. It looked more in place in America, not over there.
Yeah, I mean...
With a group of buildings, it's fine. But, and it's all like that. It's a weird building. It goes up, across, and then up again. It looks absolutely ridiculous.
I don't know why they've got that sticky out bit, and I should have asked him while I was here, actually, whether that's absolutely safe, you know. But I'm sure it is.
It's probably safe, but it looks... Do you actually like that building?
Well, I mean, my first reaction was, I don't really want it here. And we've had the good fortune to, it's right on our doorstep, so we've watched it sort of day by day being built. And now that I can see it, I think it probably looks like any other multi-storey glass building, although it probably won't get us the same number of dirty stains on the outside as they have in the past, largely owing to advances in technology. And I have no strong feelings about it, to be honest. But you've got to remember, people said that St Paul's Cathedral was a disgrace when it was first built. People say... people say most things are a disgrace when they're first built because they don't like things to be new. And then they get used to them.
Yeah, well, James, how long's that bit? A building's been up a while. I don't know if it's actually finished yet inside, I'm not sure. It doesn't look finished.
Oh, what, this one here?
Yeah, the Beacon Tower.
Well, they topped it out about a month ago.
I know it's got 2 red lights, and that's the only thing I've noticed it recently about it, and that's right at the top of it. That's in case they're playing next to it. Well, as soon as they want to fly into it, they're not going to bother about 2 lights on the top of the roof.
I don't think, it might be so the police helicopter doesn't fly into it. That would be embarrassing, wouldn't it?
What, right to the guy's apartment?
Yeah. That'd, blimey, the place would be olives all over the show.
Oh, I just think, you've got a couple of... Every building now seems to be just glass. And after the bomb that we had in Manchester, do you think it's a very good idea having a building what's made of glass?
Well, there is, certainly, it's a case that a lot of the properties, and this is a fact, a lot of the businesses roundabout are taking out extra terrorist insurance. Did you know that?
Because of all the glass that's surrounding the place?
Well, partly because they see it as a potential target.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, and the glass obviously will be part and parcel of it, but they're that's why they're taking out that extra insurance. I'm sure it's partly the work of some very persuasive insurance salesmen as well.
It well could be.
Yeah.
Like I say, it just looks out of place to me, and honestly, it just looks hideous. And no one these days don't look too bad. Yeah, it's made of glass, but at least it don't look out of place like that does, because it's right on the bottom of Deansgate, where there's no other building surrounding it.
Well, I suppose only people staying at the Ramada can see it, so it's that's up to them. But yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, there are worse things. It is. Look, you've grown up in Salford, I take it.
Yeah.
Right. You've got Salford precincts, which is not lovely.
It's horrible.
Right.
It's absolutely. It should be knocked down.
Well.
Well, they said he was going to knock part of the market down about 5 years ago. Well, we're still waiting for it to be knocked down. It just looks hideous, and no one uses it. There's nothing on there. It's dead.
All right, what are you going to do then? You see, this is a bloke. You're criticising it. We've had a bloke in here who's talking about building a city which stimulates people, which changes people out. Well, you know, they did research years ago about people who lived in multi-storey blocks of flats. Like, there's what is there, 3 or 4 down the side of near Salford precinct, isn't there?
Well, there's not 3 down the last 10 years.
Right.
There's one being demolished at the moment, so they're gradually getting rid of them.
Right.
Where I am.
Yeah. Well, look, listen. The research that they did showed that because the ceilings were slightly lower than instead of being 9 foot, they were, I forget what they were now, and because the windows had to be small for the purposes of the structure and everything, that it actually affected people's mental state. It lowered their expectations. They did all sorts of research and showed that a building can affect you. It can affect the way you look at the world, the way you look at yourself. Now then, unfortunately, we can't afford to build in the centre of Salford what you would like. What would you like? Would you like half-timbered houses? Hey?
What, like the Tudor?
Yeah. I mean, probably there was somebody like you 500 years ago walking around going, I don't know, it's all wattle and daub these days, isn't it? Everywhere you look. Hey? What's wrong with twigs?
No, that wasn't me, James. Yeah, and it wouldn't have been me. Well, I just think it's out of place. Like I say, Salford Precinct is an absolute eyesore. And it looks like the 70s. Well, like the Arndale used to do with the toilet tiles on it.
Well, I mean...
It's got tiles on it. That's the only difference.
You see, we're surrounded by places like that. I mean, Prestwich Precinct, they're doing a lot of work on it, but I mean, essentially, it remains the same. One where I think they have done a good job, to be honest with you, is Bury. Have you been to Bury?
Not in a while.
Right.
I know what you mean. Where the interchanges and stuff is.
Yeah. And what they've done essentially, they had a horrible open air 60s precinct, which they've glassed it over.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I'm just going upstairs, James. I was watching telly when you phoned me.
You're not going in there for one, are you?
No, I'm in the bedroom now, James.
Hey, I tell you what, that's a nice... Have you seen that advert where that woman's in the back? That's lovely, that. I forget what it's for now. But there's a woman in the bath. She's got all the candles lit round the side of the bath. And there's a little bit of... I forget who it is. She's got a record on. It's Barry White or... No, a bit of Lionel Richie.
Yeah, go on.
And
I don't think I've seen this.
Oh, yeah, it's fantastic. There she is. And she's got all the bubble bath up to her chin and all that. And all incense. You know all those stupid daft candles you can get? She's got them lit all over the place. And Lionel Richie's crooning and she's like that. Mm. And then the door opens and her husband comes in with a paper under his arm. And he says, I'm sorry, love, I can't wait. and down they come. That's brilliant. That's brilliant, that.
That's not one of I think the worst advert that's on at the moment. Have you seen that one for that woman who's, I think it's the waxing thing, Vita or something, it's something like that.
Not a clue.
And she's the most annoying woman. She screams. As long as she does, in between, you'll see it, James. It's an absolute hideous advert, and the woman is the most annoying person on TV. And every time it comes on, I have to turn the telly off. Because she's absolutely hideous.
Well, into each life a little rain must fall. I'll tell you what, John, here's your homework then. Have this ready for, let me see, it's Sunday today. Tuesday we'll do. Draw a freehand sketch of how you would like the centre of Salford to look. Okay? And we'll mark it. What the hell are you on about, says this text message. Paul O'Grady is not funny, neither are you, sad old donkey. Thanks. Right. Ted in Swinton, accountancy. OK, mate, whatever we like. I'm sorry, Ted. Obviously, something like that, we've overestimated your attention span and your, I suppose, yeah, your intellect by quite a distance, Ted. Sorry about that. We all make mistakes. We'll try and do something which is of interest to you, Ted. If you could let us know. And assuming that you can spell it, then, Ted, why don't you text us what you would like to hear discussed on the biggest phone in the Northwest? And we'll try and accommodate it. Because we exist for nothing but to please you and you alone, Ted, in Swinton. We've got to Rochdale in a second. 0161 288 0103. Topics up for tonight? Well, the changes in the arrangements for convicted paedophiles. I'll refresh your memory in a tick. Also, the suggestion that people fiddle the social because they have to, because they haven't got enough money to spend on food and heating. That's what the Joseph Rowntree Foundation believes as a result of its research. Now then, if you've got a beard and you work for the Joseph Rowntree Foundation, that's very likely the result that you will come up with, the conclusion you will come to. If you know anything about what actually goes on, you will know that that is tripe. People fiddle the social because it's more money to spend on what? You have a look. When was the last time you saw somebody starving in Britain? Rubbish. They fiddle it. In fact, you can give us some examples of what people on the social spend the money on. 0161 288 0103. I'll tell you something else as well in a minute.
2 in the morning on Key 103.
Well, we're off at the minute, but if you're finding there's a massive Mike and Chelsea-sized hole in your life...
And with my size, that's a big hole.
Why not listen to the Toolan Cast on the Key 103 website, key103.co.uk. I'm very, very funny.
Looking.
Shut up.
He's heading home again! Football. I'm tired of football. And footballers. I wouldn't mind their money, though.
Don't dream about the lifestyle of a footballer's wife. Win it with Boots and Coca-Cola. 2 nights in a 5-star London hotel, tons of pampering, shopping at Tiffany's and Harvey Nichols, plus dinner at 2 swanky restaurants. Drop into Boots before the 5th of July for how to enter, plus our special deal of any 2 500ml bottles of Coke or Diet Coke for £1.30. No purchase necessary. Conditions apply. Boots and Coca-Cola.
It's the perfect match!
Can I help you, sir? Yes, I've just come back from holiday to find I was charged extra for using my card abroad.
Not a charge, sir. That's a tip.
A tip?
Yes, people love tipping abroad. They'll tip anything. Restaurants, doormen, taxis, beach attendants, policemen. So when in Rome...
Yeah, I didn't go to Rome.
Oh, you must. Look, it's just that people do things differently in other countries. That's why we call them foreign. And we thought you'd like to get the full experience.
Unlike some places, Nationwide don't charge you any extra when you use your cards abroad. After all, it's your money, whatever the currency.
Aren't tips meant to be optional?
They are optional, and we opted to take your money. Bye.
Nationwide, proud to be different.
Guess what? What? Have you heard of King Midas? Oh, the king who turned everything he touched into gold. What about him? Well, he lived here in Turkey. Well, he certainly left his mark on the beaches.
Turkey, the Mediterranean, and more.
The James H. Reeve phone in on Key 103. Call now on 0161 288 0103.
Oh, forgot to do that. I've got to, actually, there's somebody I must thank in a second. Somebody in, Radcliffe. In the meantime, though, Tony in Rochdale, you're on Key 103. What can we do for you?
All right, I would just, like to say that, I think you are funny and the programme is entertaining. And you're on about, someone having the windows put through for supporting Brazil. Well,
hang on, it was a bloke in, it was Axel.
Yeah.
And his wife, Josedna.
Yeah.
In Bramall. He's German, she's Brazilian. They had one of each flags in the front window.
Yeah.
And some local dickheads put the window in.
Uh-huh. Well, I'm English by birth, but last time the World Cup was on, I supported Brazil and they actually won, so I was flying the Brazil flag that I've had to take down now. And I was in the back garden this evening whilst Deal or No Deal was on, your favourite programme.
Oh, yeah, I'm in the back garden, yeah.
Yeah, composting, and 2 missiles...
Well, we'll come back to the composting in a minute, but go on, yeah.
2 missiles came flying over from the football pitch behind me, ricocheted off the shed roof onto the garage roof and into next door's garden. The second one came shortly after, and just missed my head by a matter of inches.
What sort of missiles?
Stones. First off, they were playing golf.
Missiles?
Yeah. Well, like the speed light, you know.
So what, you reckon this is because... Well, first of all, why are you wearing a Brazil shirt? Why are you supporting Brazil? What's wrong with you?
Nothing's wrong with me. It's a free country, and I can support who I want.
Well, yes, but it's an international football tournament. You're supposed to support your own country. That's the whole object.
No, not necessarily, you know. It's like, you know, you support Man City. I don't like Man City, you know, so...
Yeah, but I'm from Manchester.
Yeah, well, so am I.
But what... I mean... I don't want another team to win it. I'm just going to laugh my head off when England get embarrassed again, of course, which they will in due course.
Definitely, yeah.
Not by Brazil, I wouldn't think, though, because Brazil looked like a right load of rubbish tonight.
They still won, though.
Well, the same applies to England, yeah.
And yeah. By same scoreline as well.
And Ronaldo looks like George Foreman trying to play football. What's the matter with him? He's got an house like a bus seat.
It's only football at the end of the day anyway, isn't it, you know?
So, you've had stones thrown at you because, were you wearing a Brazil shirt while...
No. The picture is like there's a football pitch behind and there was kids playing on it, the 4 kids, in England shirts. And I have had a Brazilian flag flying from my bedroom window, but I no longer... I've since taken it down, like, you know.
Not a bad idea, that, actually. Discretion is probably the better part. What, tell me more about this composting, though. I'm very interested in composting. What, have you got a New Zealand box, or what?
No, it's just a 60-litre compost bin, like, you know.
Oh, right, yeah. 60 litres, not enough to get a decent heat up and that. Obviously.
No, it has been quite warm in there recently, you know, like stick carpet over the top and what have you.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, yeah. But you need, to get a decent heat up, really, you need probably, you need about a cubic yard, really. Getting on for a cubic yard, that'll generate the necessary, yeah. Sorry, I just thought, you know, it's not like gardener's question time, but I just thought I'd just check while I was doing it.
Yeah,
right. So, what, you know who it was who went to war over, supposedly over a football match, don't you? Over a World Cup. No.
No, I have no clue then, no.
Honduras and El Salvador.
Right.
You look it up. Although it wasn't really about the football, it was all a territorial dispute, but in actual fact, that was the spark for it, over a World Cup qualifier in 1969, I think you'll find I'm right in saying.
Right.
So what are you going to do? Are you still going to stick up for Brazil?
I'm still going to support them, yeah, but, you know, it's just a shame that people are so mindless, really, isn't it, you know?
Very, very disappointed in you. At least stick up for England until the shambles that they are is exposed for all to see, and we absolutely get nowhere. I'm going to look a bit of a Charlie, actually, if England win it, aren't I? I'll have to pretend that I was behind them all along. Right, that was Tony in Rochdale. Prompted by the story of Axel and Josedna in Bramhall, of all places. And one or two views on this. These have come into this is from the Evening News, this. For many years, we've had various politically correct organisations objecting to any showing of national pride, lest it be interpreted as racist. This year, a lot of the countries expressed its support of the England team by flying the Cross of St George in various forms. If we didn't have the other teams playing in the World Cup, there would be no World Cup. So please respect those who feel as passionately about their own country as much as you do. I still want to wear my England baseball cap. Oh, an England baseball cap. Don't you see the bitter irony? Anyway, my England baseball cap as a matter of pride and support, not hate and intimidation. An England baseball cap. That's like saying wearing a Stars and Stripes bowler. Pillock. But PW in Manchester says it's got nothing to do with patriotism or support for the national team. It's got everything to do with empty-headed simpletons who probably couldn't find Germany on a map of Europe. I'm sure the German chap recognises this. Yes, I don't think we will discover any deep social significance in the acts of whoever threw this brick through this fellow's window. They're just probably... what's the expression I'm looking for? I saw it in a... Oh, dear me, I saw it in a paper, research into urban subculture in a post... knobheads. That's right, that's what it said, yeah. Right, good. I think we're going to... I'm going to empty my bulging sack in a moment with the help of Jackie, my glamorous assistant. Right, so this will be worth listening to. It's 7 minutes past midnight, James H. Reeve on Key 103, and we have a thank you and a small demonstration of a helpful device.
Key 103.
Where am I? You're tied to a pole with a load of wood underneath you in the middle of my village.
But I was just on my way to get a Volkswagen Fox. What's happening?
Remember that song by Elton John called Sacrifice? Well, think of it as a tribute to you.
659. What's that chanting?
It's just a special chant. It's pretty catchy, actually. Anyway, better get on. You may feel a slight burning sensation. It's called being on fire.
The new Volkswagen Fox. What's stopping you? Because now you can pick one up from just $6,590 RRP. And with CD player, twin airbags and power steering as standard, you'll need a really good reason not to. We're giving you the chance to win a Fox or other amazing prizes like 6,590 air miles to New York, a 6,590 feet high trip to the Grand Canyon, or 6,590 minutes of music on an iPod. For your chance to win, log on to fox6590.co.uk. Terms and conditions apply. The new Volkswagen Fox from just $6,590 RRP. What's stopping you?
Key 103.
Can I help you, sir?
Yes, I'd like to vote on the future of this bank.
Ah, right. I'll just get a, ballot paper. There you go.
I'm sorry, you've just written this.
So?
Well, it's to vote on your lunch.
Yes, pork pie or Scotch egg.
I don't know.
All right. Should I grow a moustache or a goatee?
I don't want to vote on that.
Well, what then?
Something of consequence about the bank, preferably.
Ah, I see. Right. The new carpet, red or mauve?
This is ridiculous.
You're the one who wanted to vote. Can't handle being on the spot, eh? Imagine if I gave you something important to vote on.
Unlike some places, at Nationwide we let customers, not shareholders, have a say in how we run our business. If you're an eligible Nationwide member, you'll receive a voting form complete with an easy quick vote option to make things simple. Just return it in the prepaid envelope or pop it in the ballot box at any Nationwide. And for each vote, Nationwide will donate money to disability sport events. Up to £100,000 in all.
Look, I just want my voice to be heard, okay?
Oh, right, well, try cupping your hand round your mouth like this. Hello? Hello?
Nationwide. Proud to be different.
The James H. Reeve phone in on Key 103. Call now on 0161 288 0103.
Good heavens, it's Monday.
Good heavens above.
I just thought I'd like to introduce something new, a new concept. And Jackie's here with the reading out desk.
Email desk.
All
And
right,
the first
then.
one from Anthony Stormchaser in Wigan says, just to let you both know, I am not listening to your show anymore after you failed to say sorry to me for laughing at me. So who's the Brian one now?
Yeah, he can't spell brainy.
No.
I'm surprised, actually, because the nation held its breath when we thought he was stranded in Southport with no visible means of support. But he's never got into... We don't know what's happened to him. Now, presumably, he's either survived or someone's stolen his identity.
Oh, yeah.
How desperate would you be to steal his identity?
Very. It could happen, though. They might have done it and not realised what they've got themselves
No,
into.
maybe, yeah, perhaps they just found his national insurance number and thought... Yeah.
James, today on the news, the mother of a girl that got raped said that if the man got out, she would kill him. Now, what gives anyone the right to say that? That is promoting violence. If everybody felt this way, then the prisons will be filled with murderers. And that is why the addresses of these sickos should not be published.
Well, you see, this is a part of the problem. The News of the World has just about managed to pull its chestnuts out of the fire because the was it them or the Sun? But they're the same organisation anyway. Started naming and shaming. The result being that some convicted paedophiles and some paediatricians and I think a couple of podiatrists, not to mention many pedestrians, were actually assaulted by readers, readers with a certain...
Integrity.
Yeah, a sense of moral certainty. Yeah, because of what they did. So they had to try and recover from that. So they've now done a bit of covered the backsides by getting behind this Meghan's Law bit. But yeah, the whole point is that as I think this bloke who's said this is just a waste of money going over and looking at how Meghan's Law operates in America, is that it will just lead to that sort of thing. So there.
Julian Oldham says, Dear James, and whatever your gusset is, I feel like crap, I am throwing up. Do
And
something.
what? Just go back.
So what, the beginning?
Yeah. Yeah.
Dear James, and whatever your gusset is.
What my gusset is?
That's what it says.
Your gusset's as good as mine?
Yeah. I think it's a little poem. I feel like crap, I'm throwing up, do something to cheer me up.
I know what that is. That's a that should be guessed.
Oh, yes, it should, shouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't rhyme with
Your
it.
gusset. Oh, we'll have to remember that.
Yeah.
And tonight, my gusset in the studio is... So that's what? Somebody feels ill, feels sick. What am I supposed to do about it?
Cheer her up. No?
No. Sip some water.
Timmy says, James, I must just say that Diego Maradona must be the most enthusiastic football fan I have ever seen on the terraces for some considerable time.
And that's from who?
Timmy Darsol.
From whom? Sorry, I should have said from whom.
Whom?
Yeah.
Timmy... Oh, it's spelt differently, actually. The
Yeah.
name at the top is spelt differently from the name at the bottom.
Yeah, well, it's obviously...
Darsol.
Right.
Timmy Darsol.
Okay, thank you.
Timmy Darsol.
Yes.
I don't know.
No, I don't know. It's beyond me as well.
Hi, James. Me and a few of my comrades have been organising a hunt for Phil. We have already visited Eccles, and the people in the kebab shop actually recognised him, but we didn't find him. Meanwhile, we've been a bit bored, so a poster was created. I hope you like it. They've sent it to you.
All right.
P.S. We are going to hunt Phil on Wednesday. Tell him to spend most of his day around the kebab shop near the church in Eccles town centre. We will be grateful for your help in this matter. And that's from Adam, second in command for the hunt from Phil from Eccles.
No, that was just... Go take that one again. 3, 2, 1.
And that's from Adam, who is second in command for the hunt for Phil from Eccles.
Right. He also, he has a number of aliases, doesn't he? He's,
Yes.
Roger from Moston. Who else? He's been somebody else as well. Clint.
Yes,
Clint.
yeah.
Clint from Eccles. It doesn't matter.
Oh, that's it, really?
Dead or alive. Thank you. Ted sent us another text message and thinks I'm going to read it out.
Oh, right.
But I'm not. Right. So, he's wasting his time. Oh, that's not bad, actually.
It's very good.
Should we copy that and put it on the website?
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Oh, no one knows what we're talking about. It's the poster. We'll put it on the website.
Yeah, it is a bit visual, really, but it's quite witty.
Yes, very good.
Thank you.
There you go.
I'll just give you a clue. Quentin Tarantino. That's all I'm telling you. Right. You notice Brazil got a player called Fred?
Yeah, he scored tonight, didn't he?
Yeah.
I shouldn't really know that, I suppose.
No. Oh, no, of course not. He must be related to that bloke who had the Playboy band. Because I only know one other person with the surname Fred. That's it, mate. Right. I must actually, since we're in our correspondence window, say thank you to Hazel. Do you know, I've got a terrible... my Hobson's is going. I've got a terrible nanny goat. Hazel Dighton of Radcliffe in Manchester, who has written me a lovely letter and says, sent no fewer than 19 red rubber ex-post office rubber bands, which will be added to the collection. Would you two do a bit of an update on it and take a picture? We'll put a picture of it on the website. We need plenty more before we can embarrass the post office into doing something, giving some money to charity, or sacking hundreds of postmen, one or the other. We'll give them the choice. Otherwise, I'll take out a private prosecution. In the meantime, 19 rubber bands, thank you. I've also enclosed a small but very useful gift for you, in the hope that when no litter bins are available, you will always walk with fresh-smelling pockets. Thank you. Oh, yes, I know the incident you're referring to. Yeah. Because I'm so afraid of litter wardens now that I keep walking until the dimp's gone out completely, and then put it in my pocket, making absolutely sure that it's gone out, because I don't want my trousers catching fire because they're hot enough as it is. So, and then find them ages later, all bits of backy. So, Hazel has very kindly sent me this little item. Now, it's hard to describe, but luckily it does make something approaching a noise, which from a radio point of view is interesting-ish. Are you ready? That's it, really. I'll just do it again. You ready? Okay. Let me put some flesh on the bones there. This is a portable ashtray, which not only has an opening lid, but when you open it, a beautifully designed thing in the shape of a leaf. Flips out to the side, and that's designed to rest your cig on. Not, of course, that we should advocate or recommend smoking. As a major opinion former, I would not do such a thing. In fact, I would positively discourage you from smoking. However, since those of us who were unfortunate to be the victims of relentless smoking propaganda during our formative years, those of us unfortunate enough to be in that position, and, you know, we're getting no help. But anyway, so you can rest your cig on there if you're in a fashionable bistro. Oh no, from this month you would have to be outside a fashionable bistro, wouldn't you? But anyway, you can put it on the table, put your cig on there, put your ash in it, and then put your dimp in it, and then fold it up, close the lid, and off you go, with no trace of your smoking behaviour left behind, and no fear of litter warden misery. Right, now, that's very kind of you, Hazel. I can't thank you enough. It's lovely. It's got beautiful things inscribed on it, which I can't quite make out. It appears to be like, oh dear, a huge venomous snake. That's not very attractive, but anyway. So thanks. It's very nice of you to send it me. I'll use that. Obviously, you could have saved Terry Christian 50 quid. If you'd sent him one, it's too late. Thank you. Thanks very much indeed. Gary Bushell says, I'd like to say that tonight's show has been as enjoyable as supping flat, tepid lager through the gusset, and that is actually gusset, through the gusset of Vanessa Felt's pants. But it's been good, says Gary Bushell. Thank you. Ted, you don't, and I'm not reading it out, so up yours. Thanks. That's a text message. And an anonymous one says, James, the World Cup is costing me a fortune in beer tokens. Any chance of a borrow for my new City shirt next season? We'll have to negotiate separately. Thank you. Oh, and Ted, I'm not taking no. I don't care. I don't care. Thanks. I'm gonna have to attend to me Hobsons now. Is there another Hillman waiting to come on? Yeah. Because I'm struggling here. You see what I mean? I get abuse from this Burke in Swinton. He doesn't realise how much I'm risking. It's all. I might never be able to sing again, but I'm going to go through with it anyway. 21 minutes past midnight. James H. Reeve on Key 103, and we're going to write fini to one of the great mysteries of our time in a moment, when we'll be speaking to somebody in Wigan.
Is the internet a bad thing or a good thing? With AOL, you can debate the issues affecting you. Key 103 and AOL are giving you the chance to win some amazing prizes. All you need to do is identify the discussion topic and you could win VIP gig tickets, a personal shopper experience, a spa break and loads more. Find out more at key103.co.uk and win all this week on Ditchy's Drive Home with AOL and Key 103. Key 103.
G'day, Ned. Oh, like a new handbag.
Yeah, well, I heard that with Sheila's Wheels car insurance you can get special handbag cover of up to £300.
Yeah, but Ned, Sheila's Wheels is for women drivers.
Damn. Took me hours to catch that crocodile.
Up on the car insurance deals. Girls get onto Sheila's Wheels.
For your Bonza deal, girls, call 0800 085 6919 or visit SheilasWheels.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Football. I'm tired of football. And footballers. I wouldn't mind their money, though.
Don't dream about the lifestyle of a footballer's wife. Win it with Boots and Coca-Cola. 2 nights in a 5-star London hotel, tons of pampering, shopping at Tiffany's and Harvey Nichols, plus dinner at 2 swanky restaurants. Drop into Boots before the 5th of July for how to enter, plus our special deal of any 2 500ml bottles of Coke or Diet Coke for £1.30. No purchase necessary. Conditions apply. Boots and Coca-Cola.
It's the perfect match!
Hello?
I've just heard about you and Phil's
Basically, he said it's over.
But what exactly did he say?
Helen, it's over.
How did you take it?
Called him this, called him that, cried, boo-hoo.
Well, if there's anything I can do, you know I'm here. Don't hesitate.
Yeah, gotta scoot. I'm in the middle of packing.
Oh, sure you're okay.
Uh-huh.
Can't wait to get on holiday. Cosmos has thousands of holidays ready to go. To book, call 0870 145 5000 or click cosmosholidays.co.uk. Go book it.
The James H. Reeve phone in on Key 103. Call now on 0161 288 0103.
Right, well, this will be a load off for a great many people's mind. Tony in Wigan, is it really you?
Hi, James. Yeah, it's me. I'm awake, just about.
Are you alive, though?
I'm alive, yeah, just slightly. I would be late.
We'd already come to that conclusion.
It's after midnight, you see, so I've just come up for air when I got the call.
We did try to speak to you the other night, but you were fast asleep.
Yeah, that was Monday, yes. I think I nodded off. It's after midnight, you see. I mean, dodgy ground after midnight. I'm always a bit sleepy.
Yes. Now, what we want to know is, how did you get back from Southport?
Oh, the other week, yeah, that was great. No, I didn't. Not till after 6 in the morning. I had to wait till the first train coming back.
Talk us.
I went
just a minute. We've got to recap. We're always told to do this.
Yeah, it's
at regular intervals. You got on the train to Wigan.
Yeah, at Manchester.
Right. Fell asleep.
Fell asleep and woke up in Southport, and there was no change back. It was the last one.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite ridiculous. This is only about something to 11 or just after.
Well, Southport's not Las Vegas, you know. You know that, don't you?
I know, but you would think, James, you would have some trains going back over during the night, but they don't. It's like a ghost town at night for trains. So the guards said there was no trains back. So I said that he was going back private. So I said, I'll stay on yours, but he wouldn't, and he got the police to throw me off the train. I said, I'm not staying in Southport. So I actually had to, and there was no trains back till 6:30, so I went to the police station and complained about it. And there was a lady policeman on, and she just told me to wait in the waiting room till 6:30, so I had to.
Oh, at least they gave you a roof over your head. Yeah.
Yeah, because it got pretty cold that night, James. It was by about 3 o'clock in the morning. It was a bit nippy, especially at Southport. You know, right at the sea, it's a bit of nip in here.
Oh yeah. And did you get a brew in that?
No, I didn't get nothing. No sandwich, not nothing.
I think I advised you to go and put a shop window in, didn't I, at the time?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, actually thinking back, that was probably a bit rash, that.
Saying advice, yeah. As you usually do, James.
Yeah. At least you'd have got a bacon sandwich the following day, but it would probably have worked out expensive in the long run. So
it was a nice ride. It was a nice ride back, actually, at 6. By 7 o'clock, though, the sun was up and it was blazing down. It was about 20 degrees by about coming back.
I bet it was lovely.
It was. Going through the flatlands between Southport and Wigan.
Mm-hmm.
It was brilliant. I nearly fell asleep and woke up in Manchester, to be honest.
Well, that would have been compounding the felony, really, because are you actually are you employable, Tony? I wouldn't have thought so, but you never know. You might be on some sort of scheme.
Yeah, I do, because I work with my brother. He's self-employed, though, so work hours are like flexible.
Right. I wanted to talk to you about something.
Go on, then.
Does the word lenticular mean anything to you?
It's a cloud.
It is a cloud.
It's ventricular. It develops over hills, which when you get certain wind direction, it's quite an unusual cloud, lenticular.
But there are some places where lenticular clouds are not uncommon, isn't there?
Yeah, ventricular normally forms over hills and mountains.
Yeah.
It's an unusual wispy cloud.
Yeah. Lenticular meaning?
I don't know the actual meaning of the name.
It means lens-shaped.
That's it, yeah, because it is like I call it like a U-ish shape, this one.
Yeah. And what
Formed over hills and mountains.
formed over hills and mountains, and also over Arizona and New Mexico.
Oh, yeah, it's quite, it's formed by wind directions blowing over
Yeah.
hills.
And what are lenticular clouds often mistaken for?
UFOs.
Is the right answer. In fact, don't they very often look exactly like the unidentified flying objects shown in the pathetically few, fuzzy, indistinct photographs of UFOs which are offered to us as evidence of UFOs?
Yes, that's quite true. That a lot of drunken people staggering home at night have reported claims as UFOs.
Even to the extent of looking like the 3-story flying saucers.
Yeah, the moonlight shining on a ventricular cloud at night can look similar to a UFO.
Thank you. Must put a link to that on the website, actually. Definitely must. Right. Anyway, you made it home in one piece.
I did actually, James. Yeah, it was quite an interesting night then. There was like about -3 or something at night. I would have been dead now.
Yeah. Well, I did ask.
I only had jeans and a shirt on, James.
Well,
because it was quite a warm day, but cold night.
Well, we did ask if there was anybody listening who... I couldn't leave the controls here, you see, obviously.
Obviously, James, you'd have rushed down, wouldn't you, and give me a lift
But
on.
we did. We put out an appeal. We said, if you're up that neck of the woods, or even if you're prepared to... How far is it to Southport? It's what, 25 from here?
Well, it's 18 miles to Wigan, and from Wigan to Southport, it's 20. So it's about 40 miles from Manchester.
Okay, 40 miles. I wouldn't have thought it was that far. It's only about 40 to Preston from here. I would have thought it was less than that. But anyway...
Yeah, but it's similar, yeah.
Okay. We said, look, would anyone... I said, Tony Stormchaser is facing possible death from exposure, even indecent exposure. I don't know. Would anyone like to volunteer if you're just round the corner, if you're in Southport, or even in McGull, or Formby, who knows? Or would you perhaps somebody from Manchester? I mean, we're talking Tony Stormchaser's life is at stake here. Would anyone like to nip and drive up and down Southport Prom?
Did you get any response, James?
None whatsoever, no. In fact, we had several saying, not likely.
Please, no.
Yeah. One said...
that's a bit sad, James.
One said, you must
Terrible.
be kidding. Another said, this is the chance we've been waiting for.
Bump him off, yeah. No more calls from Tony Stormchaser.
So there we are. So I'm sorry about that, son.
Yeah. I'm actually, the ex-weather presenter, Nicola Dixon, who used to work on BBC One. She's not on anymore. She's like a journalist now.
I've no idea.
Yeah, so, well, I'm on a show, actually. I'm not going to mention the radio station, but on 1st of July, I'm actually going on having a conversation.
Right.
Light-hearted chit-chat about the weather.
Oh, light-hearted chit-chat. Music and chat. Oh,
That's
yes.
it,
Oh, well, blimey, Charlie. I may jump ship.
I'm actually going out in the studio talking about the weather.
Yeah, well,
so
you see. Yeah, we prefer to keep you at arm's length, obviously.
That's it, yeah.
Not have
Actually,
your egregious offensive presence actually on the premises. That would be more than flesh and blood could stand.
James, the remnants of like Tropical Storm Alberto, which was the first one of the season, like give about 10 inches of rain in Florida on Monday. It's crossing us on Wednesday, but just like a little bit. There's nothing left in it.
Well, I don't know what to say. And when
Tropical Storm Alberto.
I really mean that, Tony. I don't know what to say.
Right.
That
I'm full of interest, James.
People are
queuing up to talk to me.
I would agree with your assertion to some point. I would go along with that sentence. I am full of But that's where we differ. It's at that point that we take different directions.
Yeah, we're doing that in different. You're on M6, I'm on different one.
Yeah. Anyway, never mind that. That was tedious. Right. Lenticular clouds. Remember.
Yeah, they're not UFOs.
No, of course they're not, because there's no such thing. Ridiculous. Right.
No.
And listen, I say this with all the sincerity that I can put on, is that it's nice to know that you're safe and sound, because we don't want anything to happen to any of the Hillmans, however irritating and tragic they may be. And I hope you'll accept those good wishes.
Oh, James, you're saying real sincere. I'll ring you in a month from Leeds or something.
Yeah, or wherever you end up next time you fall asleep on a train.
That's it, yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's only one way line, it's only good for spaceport, so I can't go any further.
Yeah, but it's quite possible you get on the wrong train, isn't it?
I have done now. I woke up in Milton Keynes one night.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, that was a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Woke up in Milton Keynes. Whatever.
The train wasn't even going to Wigan. I don't know how I ended up doing that.
No, I don't either. That's brilliant.
It was, honestly, Milton Keynes. That was a bit distant. I don't even know how I got that far before the guard even woke me up. It was a Virgin train as well.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Incidentally, what's a fleecy nimbus?
There isn't any cloud that exists called a fleecy nimbus. There's probably a sheep in the field.
Oh, that's a rib tickler and no mistake. Ian in Eccles wants to know what a fleecy nimbus is.
There isn't any such name cloud, James.
Okay. This is for the man who didn't know who Luke Hayward was.
Who's Luke Hayward?
Oh, God, he's forgotten already. Right, there we are. That's Storm Chaser, the man who classified clouds, but, you know, what can you do? Thank you. Ted in Swinton is now threatening me. Yes, Ted, or Gutless Ted, as they call him in the Swinton area, is now sending me threatening messages. Ted's going to tell Sir. Oh, are you? That what? What? Ted, you will care, says Ted. Well, the fact is this, Ted. I won't. I won't at all. Thank you, Ted, though. Thank you. The next thing you'll have to do, Ted, is complain about how much it's cost you to send these text messages that I don't care about. That really will. That'll rattle me no end. And you'll notice, Ted, that I haven't actually invited you to text. You seem to have done this off your own bat. So, I don't know what to do, Ted, really. Except think. That's a shame. That's a shame for Ted. Thank you. Is it time for another breather? Yes, it is. Just checking the captain's log. So I'm going to do this in a minute, and then I'll tell you what I was very, well, not very, mildly disappointed at, is that this idea from Israel about reducing stress. Have you heard this? Remembered something else as well. This idea of reducing stress to release built-up tension. This was took place yesterday in Tel Aviv, in Rabin Square. And reading this, I thought, well, perhaps there are other ways that we could solve international disputes and release tension in the populace as a whole. In the middle of Tel Aviv, they had a mass pillow fight. I suppose it's like gladiators, or it's a knockout, but not a bad idea. Yep, people given cushions and pillows, and actually there's quite complicated rules, or quite a procedure, but there's only one rule, which is, well, take that, basically. So I just thought if there are other ways of settling international disputes and avoiding warfare, that would be, if you can think of one, I think that would be a nice idea. You could have, what's in the game? You could have like international buckaroo or something like that. You know, you'd have to be, because they used to do it in medieval times, didn't they? You could elect, single combat instead of having a war. So, I mean, that reduced the net violence and bloodshed considerably, but it's still unpleasant, isn't it? So there should be some way of settling things, but everyone would have to agree to abide by the outcome. You would, it would have to be like cricket, really, wouldn't it? Yeah, no dissent, and the umpire's decision is final. I'm just thinking, buckaroo's one thing. What was it I used to like to play? That card game where what's it called? I think it's a German one. I think it's called Scat, is it? Anyway, it doesn't matter now. Just thought if you'd got any suggestions, 0161 288 0103. That'll suit me. Right, I'll just put my feet on the handlebars for a moment. Now listen, Ted, we've got 1 minute 30, 1 minute, 2 minute 10, 2 minutes, about 2 minutes 20 seconds, and during that time, I am going to be doing absolutely nothing at all. Okay? Ha 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 ha.
Key 103's £25,000 triple play.
Last week we gave away £1,000. We've given away £5,000.
The first one, Sugar Babes, Push a Button, and the second one, Madonna, Like a Prayer.
Martin Robinson, from Oldham, you are caller number...
Come on.
25.
Yes! Get him!
Martin!
But we still haven't given away the big one.
Key 103's £25,000 triple play. Could be any minute now. Better keep listening. Key 103.
Where am I? You're tied to a pole with a load of wood underneath you in the middle of my village.
But I was just on my way to get a Volkswagen Fox. What's happening?
Remember that song by Elton John called Sacrifice? Well, think of it as a tribute to you.
What's that chanting?
It's just a special chant. It's pretty catchy, actually. Anyway, better get on. You may feel a slight burning sensation. It's called being on fire.
The new Volkswagen Fox. What's stopping you? Because now you can pick one up from just $6,590 RRP. And with CD player, twin airbags and power steering as standard, you'll need a really good reason not to. We're giving you the chance to win a Fox or other amazing prizes like 6,590 air miles to New York, a 6,590 feet high trip to the Grand Canyon, or 6,590 minutes of music on an iPod. For your chance to win, log on to fox6590.co.uk. Terms and conditions apply. The new Volkswagen Fox from just $6,590 RRP. What's stopping you?
Key 103.
He's heading home again!
Football. I'm tired of football. And footballers. I wouldn't mind their money, though.
Don't dream about the lifestyle of a footballer's wife. Win it with Boots and Coca-Cola. 2 nights in a 5-star London hotel, tons of pampering, shopping at Tiffany's and Harvey Nichols, plus dinner at 2 swanky restaurants. Drop into Boots before the 5th of July for how to enter, plus our special deal of any 2 500ml bottles of Coke or Diet Coke for £1.30. No purchase necessary. Conditions apply. Boots and Coca-Cola.
It's the perfect match!
Can't wait to get on holiday. Cosmos has thousands of holidays ready to go. To book, call 0870 145 5000 or click cosmosholidays.co.uk. Go book it.
The James H. Reeve phone in on Key 103. Call now on 0161 288 0103.
Mike in Greenmount. Ooh, near to the side of Bury, isn't it? Yeah. George Bush versus Osama bin Laden at Twister. Yeah, that's right. I've got a little picture in my mind. Thank you. Ted's sending me more messages, but I'm not doing that. You're wasting your time, Ted. You're wasting your time, son. Ted No Bottle, I think, is your second name. Thank you. Right. Anyone who calls you my friend, you know for a fact they don't mean it. That's right. Okay, well, I can live. Thank you. Oh, good grief. In the few minutes that remain to us, I thought we might have been spared some of this, but we're going to speak to an old friend in a moment or two, bearing in mind what I said before. Yeah. DJ Unite. Oh, God. Hi! What a pleasure it is to have you on the show.
All right, mate. Sorry. You put me on so quick.
Well, I'm sorry. What were you hoping for?
No, sorry. I'll have to switch my rebirth on them. I apologise.
You've got to scratch
sorry.
what?
No, I've got to switch my rebirth off. Right, it's off. I was going to tape it, but right. You totally thrown me now. Yes, you totally thrown me, but I am sober for the change.
Ah.
Even though I've been drinking all day. But I've had this virus that's been going around. You know, I tell you what, have you had that bug?
I don't know.
Anybody who knows what I'm talking about has had that bug. It's like a wave that comes over your head.
What does
it's like 20 hangovers at the same time.
Yeah, but the trouble is when you say that, it may not be, it may be specific to you.
Yeah, right. Okay. Very smart, James. And by the way, did you sort your watering cans out?
Oh yes, I got the snail out. Yeah, thanks very much indeed.
No, you did, but you should have got them special watering cans what they buy, and they've got like a plug what you put in the end. So when you're not using the watering can, you stick the plug in the end.
Yeah, but
and then they won't get in.
Yeah, but I think the snail got in through the lid. Anyway, that's not important.
I know.
Not important at the moment. What virus have you had then?
Oh, I don't know what it is, but it was. I tell you what, it was. I've been sweating in my bed for 4 days.
Yeah. Purely because of this alleged virus. Yeah.
Alleged. Listen, I tell you what, I don't know what it was, but it hit me.
Right. Well, listen.
I'm
going to tell you something now. You might not believe this. Hey,
listen, I'm going to tell you something, right? I'm going to tell you something. You won't believe this, poor jibbing. You can tell me all you want.
Well,
I'll be going out with Jackie soon, and yes, I know shoe size is number 7, and I'm doing a track called Foot Fetish, track number 11 on my LP, because I'm DJ Unite MC, and I'm still sampling you, so you have to sue me. But you'll love it, because I'll sort you out with a few pints in the pub. Right, go on.
Was that a song, that?
Oh,
right, okay.
Yeah, fantastic. I'm just checking I've still got some cigarettes left. You still smoke, do you, James?
I couldn't possibly comment, but I have been sent a lovely portable ashtray.
I know. I've been bugging it. I really have.
Listen,
I'm trying to get a smokeless one myself.
Right, listen. What?
Go on. Go on.
Jackie will confirm this. Thursday night.
Yeah.
At least she will if she knows what's good for her.
Hey, Jackie, confirm anything, and don't be threatening Jackie and say what's good for her, because DJ Unite MC will come down with a big pizza, get past all the security, and back up Jackie to the Hilton. And if you don't believe me, ask her.
Back you up to the Hilton?
Yeah, go on.
Right. Thursday night.
Go on.
I was sneezing that uncontrollably.
Oh, it was awful.
Right, you know those those type of sneezes, right?
I was doing it, like you got hay fever, but you got something else at the same time.
At one point, I thought, I finished sneezing, and I thought, I must go looking for my face.
Right.
Because I'm certain it's on the other side of the room after that one.
I got sprayed at one point.
Oh, it was awful.
Mm.
You got sprayed?
Yeah. We have to do from time to time.
No, it's just my wicked mind doing hangovers. Go on.
So, I carried on all day Friday.
Go on.
Sneezing, and I woke up Saturday morning, shocking, absolutely terrible. I thought I'd got a railing through my head, and I was sweating cobs, but I didn't know why. Couldn't go to my mate's do on Saturday night, and now, as you can tell, the Hobson's isn't all it might be. And
I know, you're not sounding as quite as rough as you usually are.
I know. I have got a touch of something in my pipes, but I can't really shift it. It's what you call a dry cough. I can't really get a decent purchase on it.
He's gearing up to tell you he's going to have a night off sick.
Oh no, you set me off now.
Hey, listen, have you been on the Park Drive again?
Hang on.
Hey, listen.
Sorry.
I love the time when he used to buy me Park Drive. And he goes like that, have you got a spare cig? Yeah, I'm a Park Drive. Oh, no, mate. They're not hard enough. No, go.
No, I like those people who used to smoke... Oh, I've gone a bit light-headed now.
Yeah, on the Woodbine.
Yeah, no, those people who used to smoke Consulate.
Oh, yeah.
Or St. Moritz. Eh? Because
I'm having that.
Because they'd always catch one of you, knowing perfectly well that when you offered them one back, they'd go, oh, right, yeah, no, I can't be doing with those things. Yeah?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I had a couple of mates who used to do that.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Do they still do menthol cigarettes?
I don't know. I'm not a smoker. I don't know.
Hey, I'll tell you what, Jackie's going to help me give up.
No, it's...
Hey, Jackie.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a smoker. It's like if I said, do they still do dandelion and burdock? You don't have to say, oh, no, I don't drink carbonated drink.
Well, I don't know, do I? Because I don't buy cigarettes. I don't see them in newsagents.
Exactly.
Merely, no, it's nothing to do with whether you smoke or not. I know that they're still making... They're going to continue production of the TVR.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I shan't be buying one.
No.
Although,
by the way,
if I were to say what an admirable, well-constructed and efficient and attractive vehicle they are, and they were to say,
would you like one?
In exchange for that, would you like the use? Well, no, perhaps the use of one for a while. Then there's nothing I could do about that, is there?
Well, you could give it to me.
No.
Oh.
That wouldn't happen.
Well, don't worry, Jackie, I'll sort you out.
Thank you.
Yeah, she thinks he will. So was there any point?
She knows I will.
Was there any point to this discussion, or?
No, unfortunately, I've not had time because I've got all my notes here and my computer's playing up. I've got another tape stop there.
Oh dear!
And I should have taped. Yeah, I know.
I didn't realise so much work went into this.
Listen, it takes a lot to make. Some of the best. Hey, listen, James. It takes years to make some of the best albums in the world, and I'm trying to make the best album. Right. And I've got my guys up there, Mike Joyce from the Smiths, I've got Manny from the Stone Roses, and they'll be all there when I get my record there, and I make my second album, so it'll sell. Oh, well, I'll make enough copies to buy Debbie a shoes. Jackie a shoes.
There's another girl on the scene.
You said another woman's name, there's nothing worse!
You told me I was the only one!
Hey, Debbie. Hey, listen, I'm never...
you did it again!
I've not even met that Jackie yet, and she's already got me turned on. Right, I'll phone you up tomorrow night. I love you all. DJ Unite MC and Key 103, but I don't listen to the music.
Keep it real and keep it in the safe or whatever.
Keep it in your sock.
Yeah, right. I was going to say something then. I've no idea what he was on about, frankly. Is that me? Are we getting all right. Oh, of course, yeah. We're doing one of our favourites. This is exploiting the medium to its full, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the available...
We are not able to connect your call.
Oh, what a
Please
shame! Oh, what a shame.
Let's try again.
Yeah, let's try again. This is a radio device. This is called a phone out. This is. And if you'd like me to explain that, it's the reason we call it that is that rather than a phone in, which obviously this is looking at it from my point of view, rather than people phoning in, this is us phoning out. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, is that Ted?
It sounds like it, yeah.
Okay, Ted, you're live on Key 103, the station you've got so much to say about. But you haven't got the guts to say it.
Of course I have.
Go on.
I'm just saying, basically, if the radio version of the Daily Star, this would be it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Which bit of the output is that? And bear in mind, I've fulfilled our legal requirement to inform you that you are live on Key 103, and therefore, you can't complain to Ofcom about that. So, what exactly? How exactly does our output fail to meet your high expectations?
I'm just going to make a suggestion to your bosses, basically, just to say to give you early retirement, as I said in my last text.
But how can we improve the output to make it to make it suitable for you? Because having read the various texts you've sent me, at first I thought you felt it was perhaps insufficiently sensational and demanding. And now we're accused of being the Daily Star of the what you would probably describe as airwaves.
Maybe offering the position that you've got at the moment to somebody else would be a start in the whole process of actually having a show which is causing some sort of interest or excitement. Actually, I mean, for the first time, I've just been it's been like watching paint dry.
In what way was it not sufficiently exciting or interesting? Surely the Daily Star stakes its reputation on being exciting and interesting.
Exactly the same way you do.
Can you please elaborate? Because the Daily Star is... Let me see. If I remember rightly, we began this evening by talking about someone... talking to someone who has designed most of the important buildings in the city centre of Manchester. Okay?
Who actually said it was important? I mean, I can't actually. I've never said it was important, and there's many people in Manchester who don't think it's an important building. I mean, I have no real interest in actually visiting the building.
We see that's the way the mop flops. When we're planning our output, Ted, and up to now, I mean, we might change our plans in future.
You could try to interact with this conversation. At the end of the day,
you could be our focus group, Ted. What we might do is every night ring you up and say, look, Ted, this is what we were thinking of doing tonight.
Maybe that might be a good idea.
How do you feel about it?
Maybe that might get your ratings up. Maybe you should ring me. Maybe you should pay me to actually do your show for you.
Well, I was going to offer you. Would you like to? Because I could do with another week off, to be honest with you.
Well, I do a damn good better job than what you actually do.
Right, it's a deal, Ted. Let me see. Next.
I mean, I could do this.
I know you could. I don't doubt you for a moment.
Yeah, you'd be damn right more interesting than what you've got going at the moment.
What are you doing on the...
You've just got to see the quality of listeners you're actually attracting to the show.
I know. Yeah. Well, I was just thinking that now, actually.
Week commencing the 26th is free, I think.
Listen, if you really think I can't actually do a show on the same par as you, I mean, you're absolutely wrong. I mean, I could actually get you double the amount of listeners you've actually got. I mean, what have you got here? You've just got you've got a half. It's not even a show, basically.
It's not.
It's a ramble, basically.
It is.
You try and get some sort of celebrity. You can't get celebrity, so you just get somebody who's actually made a building. And you actually time to rant on.
So you want celebrities?
I'm saying I'm not. Listen, I'm not saying I wanted a celebrity or anything like that. I'm just saying that you've got a show here. You've got 3 hours, and you waste an hour. I mean, that's why I said to you, why don't you just get an accountant and a solicitor to follow me?
Yes, you did.
Surgical procedures.
Yeah. Or why don't we get a godless balloon from Swinton on, who couldn't do the job to save his life?
There's no need to shout.
For example.
I'm actually on the other end of the phone here.
I'm sorry, I assumed you were a bit hard of thinking. So listen, I've got you...
That might be yourself, actually. I can understand everything you're actually saying, but you just don't seem to get into your mind what I'm actually talking about here.
I've got you penciled in for... We'll have to put it to the gaffer a week on Tuesday.
That might be a good idea, because obviously you're not going to be able to do the job for much longer.
Okay. Right. We'll make a date then. We'll be in touch. Just pencil it in. We'll have to square it with the gaffer. No talking about football, of course. Right, that's... we'll have to get some new jingles made. Ted from Swinton shows you how it's done.
Yeah, that's good, yeah. It's got a certain ring to it.
Something like that. I'm sure he has. Right, there we are. Oh,
got to go now.
Yeah, I've left it a bit late, actually. But Ted to look forward to. An hour of non-stop music to look forward to after the 1 o'clock news, and then Sam Walker to look forward to thereafter. I thank you all.
2 in the morning.